go. Down the sideline, caught! And sliding to a stop at the 6 is Higgins. Brilliant, just brilliant. Could have got in, but this way he stops the clock. 1:37 forces Pittsburgh to use its timeouts and sets up what could be a game-winning field goal. Snap good, hold good, kick good. What a night.
How about that? That's what it sounded like on Amazon Prime last night alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Brandon Kiley. We're broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios out of the Centene Community Ice Center. We've got Jordan Deacon back in the studio for us today. The Bengals win last night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Alex, I don't know who the hell is good in the NFL anymore. I think there's like 5 good teams, and then everybody else is in this jumbled mess somewhere in the middle, and then there's like 4 teams that are really, really bad.
Well, if you ask Al Michaels, everybody's probably the same. Nobody's that good because he doesn't sound very excited.
Well, I thought he had a pretty decent call there at the end.
I chuckled there at the end because it was like, what a night. Al Michaels, what a night. Can we just go home?
Al has seen a lot. He's been doing this for, 40 years now.
I say this as, I love Al Michaels, and I still enjoy Al Michaels' broadcast, but, man, that poor boy has lost the enthusiasm.
Yeah, there's some truth to that.
Understandably so, though, because he's calling a game in that godforsaken division, the AFC North, which is now our new AFC South, ladies and gentlemen.
Joe Flacco last night, 31 for 47 for 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Jamar Chase breaks a franchise record with 16 receptions on 23 targets for 161 yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins had the big play of the night for the Bengals to seal that thing, going down right before the end zone and ultimately locking up the victory for the Bengals. My question to you guys today, Cincy now finds themselves at 3-4. I mentioned this yesterday. I think we were all on the same page. Joe Flacco fits this offense perfectly. He's going to give those guys, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, some chances. And a lot of the time, because they are so wildly talented, they're going to come down with those things, especially those 50-50 balls. That's going to put them in position to win some of these games, especially as they go up against more of the mediocre defenses across the NFL, not named the Green Bay Packers. Can Cincy be our surprise playoff team this year in the AFC? Because there's an opening here. Somebody's going to walk through that door. Could Cincy be that team?
Yeah, I think they can, as long as they stay healthy. That's going to be the caveat to this, because if they lose one of Chase or T. Higgins, then to me that chance is out the door, because what puts them in this position where it's possible is because of what you mentioned. You just got a quarterback that can heave the ball in the air in the right spot, and one of those guys are going to come down with it. But, I mean, somebody's got to win this godforsaken division, and I think we all thought it was going to be the Steelers. But, man, as much as I was a Steelers believer early on in the season, because that offense was better than people were giving it credit for, and I don't like Aaron Rodgers, but that defense is terrible. And I'm saying that watching a Bengals defense that's also terrible. But I don't think the Steelers can do what the Bengals do, to where you go out there and win every single football game in a shootout style, because you've got those 2 elite playmakers on the outside. So, I mean, we look through this AFC, we've talked about it. The Chiefs, the Bills, those are the 2 that feel like they'll be in the playoffs. One of the 2 teams from the AFC South, one of the teams from the AFC West. And then from there, man, there's an opening for the Bengals to not only get in, but an opening to win that AFC North division if you look at their schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah, I think they've got a shot. Now, their defense is the reason. I would say it's the defense is the reason why they may not end up being in. But, you look at their schedule, they've got the second easiest remaining schedule left in the NFL. They only play 3 teams that have a winning record the rest of the way, and one of them's against Pittsburgh again, and then Buffalo and New England. That's it. The rest is against teams that are below 500. So, yeah, I think they have a chance. And they would be the team that would scare me then if they can get into the playoffs, or at least stay alive until I think it's December when he's expected to be back. Because if they can survive with Joe Flacco, then what are they going to be when they get Joe Burrow back, So I think it's possible. The other reason that I'm very hesitant to buy into them is look how bad their defense was, as BK said. It stinks.
Do you know how many teams have a worse point differential on the season than the Cincinnati Bengals? The team that we're talking about is potentially being a playoff contender in the AFC right now.
What is it? What's their point differential?
Minus 78.
I don't think there's another team.
There's got to be 2 other teams.
I don't think so.
0.
Yeah.
They are tied with the Tennessee Titans for the worst point differential in the NFL so far this season. The second or the third worst, I suppose, is the Cleveland Browns, and above them is the Baltimore Ravens. So Alex has been mentioning this is the AFC South of 2025. Yeah, considering 3 of the 4 worst point differentials in the league reside in this godforsaken division, I would agree with you.
And
there.
You've got 2 of the worst defenses in that division, because Anybody else is nowhere near what the Ravens and Bengals are in terms of points allowed this season. Yeah. And I got to tell everybody, it ain't getting any better for those two teams on defense.
No doubt. I do think that there's an opening here, though, and Joe Flacco is a big part of why. I know that there's been some criticism on the Browns trading him. Man, he wasn't good for the Browns. They don't have the kind of system or situation that the Bengals do. When you've got T. Higgins and you've got Jamar Chase on the outside, that allows for a guy that's willing to go give his guys a chance. It allows for him to have success. In Cleveland, you're throwing to Jerry Jeudy and a bunch of other dudes that most people had and then benched and then cut on their fantasy team over the last 5 years.
We didn't get to the benching part of Jerry Jeudy. It was had and then cut.
Yeah,
hey, I still have him.
Nobody wants those receivers on their fantasy team, much less on their actual team. So it's a much different situation that he finds himself in right now. How good are the Cincinnati Bengals? As good as the Steelers, as good as the Jaguars, as good as the Chargers. They're in that category of NFL teams, which means that they can make the playoffs this season. I saw this, by the way. I think part of why the NFL feels so topsy-turvy is because, A, it is, but B, the standalone games, these primetime matchups, the betting favorite has lost 7 of the last 8 NFL primetime games that we have seen. Those were favorites of 8.5. 8, 3.5, 7.5, 3.5, and 5.5 each of the last 2 games. That includes the Commanders. And then last night, the Steelers were a 5.5 point favorite against the Cincinnati Bengals. So what we're seeing in these standalone games, it is symbolic of what the NFL has been so far this season. I do the Fast Lane Pick'em Challenge every single week. I hate it. I hate making picks in these games because I have no idea what's going to happen.
I love making picks in these games. I've been lights out for it.
So against the spread, strangely, is actually, I think, a little quote-unquote easier. Now, it hasn't shown up in my picks so far this season. But dude, picking straight up is nearly impossible. All these games are a 3-point line one way or the other.
Yep.
Good luck.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of like what we said in college football, right? Why it's so exciting. I think this is also exciting. Now, it's not fun on the AFC side of things because, you've got 2 teams that are really good and that's about it. But it's still at least intriguing at this time of the year because, yes, it sucks on the betting side of things, but in terms of who could make the playoffs and who couldn't, man, it's not a cookie-cutter league anymore to where there's 7 teams that are going to make it and good luck anybody else getting in. You got to get lucky. I think there's 4 teams that realistically could get in that we didn't see coming in the AFC and 2 over in the NFC.
Let me put this a different way. The number 1 seed in the AFC today is the Indianapolis Colts. They are an underdog this weekend at the LA Chargers. Wow. The Chargers do not have their left tackle, their right tackle. They do not have their number 1 running back or their number 2 running back. And they're without their number 1 defensive end.
Well, as BK would say, that line's not real. They don't know what they're doing.
They are favored against the current number 1 seed in the AFC. That is the NFL in 2025. All right, alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. In 15 minutes, we'll be joined by Mike McKenna, the former NHL goalie. Joins us each and every Friday here on the show. He does so on behalf of Macadoodles. He will give us his thoughts on what happened with Joel Hofer the other night. We'll talk with him about that coming up in 15 minutes. And Alex, I do want to talk about the Blues coming up next because there are some line combination changes, and we need to discuss these. We'll get into it next here on 101 ESPN.
Broadcasting live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the E&B Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
All right, Jim Montgomery woke up today feeling dangerous.
Feeling frisky.
Some changes at morning skate for the St. Louis Blues today alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. We're broadcasting live at the EG Granite Studios out of the Centene Community Ice Center.
Yeah, maybe you should try a different word than some on that one.
Yeah, he put them into a blender. So basically none of the combinations that you've come to know are now existing.
None of the pairs have even stayed together.
Except for Parayko and Fowler.
And Bukestad and Walker. I guess that's the only pair that has remained.
So I'm going to go through these slowly. That way it makes it a little easier to differentiate between the lines. Your top line today at morning skate for the St. Louis Blues was Dylan Holloway with Robert Thomas and Jake Neighbors.
Somebody on this show brought that up potentially.
I appreciate you mentioning that Tanner Hendrickson is our hockey guy.
I tell him all the time he's not just a pretty face.
That's right.
The second line today at morning skate, Booch with Suter and Snuggerud. And your third line today at morning skate, Joseph with Shen as the center and Jordan Kyrou as the right wing.
Cue the people saying Jordan Kairou's not worth the money.
The fourth line remains Texier with Bukestad and Walker. Your defensive pairings. Top two remain the same as they have been for the last couple of games. Fowler with Parayko, Broberg with Falk. Excuse me, that is a slight change. So your top pair remains the same. Fowler, Parayko. Broberg is with Falk. Tucker is with Matt Kessel. Logan Mailloux as the extra today for your defensive pairs. I want to spend a lot of time talking about this, Alex, because there are a number of different directions that you can go. What is the biggest takeaway for you as you see the changes that have been made to the lineup today at morning skate?
Surprisingly, it's not Mailloux being out of the lineup. That's not my biggest takeaway. I expected that to happen, whether it was Dallas's game or the game that they play against LA on this homestand.
I guess maybe it was okay that we talked about the fact that he had a bad game because the coaches appear to be saying the same thing based upon their decision-making on taking him out of the lineup.
So you don't talk about him that way.
Were you upset about something yesterday?
Here's what I will say, tell people on the Mailloux side. Do yourself a favor and go back and listen to the interview that the Fast Lane did with Pronger yesterday. I thought they did an incredible job, and he was the perfect person to talk to about 100%. This, and Pronger laid it out perfectly. This makes sense. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, this is going to be a pair you're going to see for one game and probably very few in that game. They played together before, Tucker and Kessel. It was 2 years ago. They were together for 16 minutes. They played 8 games together, and their expected goals against per 60 minutes was 4.
Expected goals 4.
Oh, no, against.
Oh, was 4 per expected goals 4 percentage was 10%.
Yeah.
So 90% for the opposite.
Yeah, so it's not good. But I think what they're doing here with Mailloux is sit up top, watch the game, see that you've got more time, build your confidence, and you're going back in against the LA Kings. That's my expectation. I'm more intrigued about the line combinations that they broke up.
Agreed.
Because I think part of the reason we're talking about Mailloux, talking about the goaltending, it isn't just because your defenseman is playing poorly or your goaltender was bad. Guys, they allowed 12 odd-man rushes the other night against Chicago. That's not all on your defense. That's your forwards not keeping the puck in the offensive zone, not cycling, and not playing tight hockey. And I think those line combinations got a little out of whack. They started to play pond hockey. They started to try and go off to the races rather than just that concise move-the-puck-north style hockey. So now look at the way they're framing these lines, specifically the top two. You've got your shooter in Jimmy Snuggerud, and I could argue Dylan Holloway or Robert Thomas, however you want to view that one.
Not Thomas.
You've got your playmaker in terms of Pavel Buchnevich for that second line, Thomas on that first line, and you've got your net front presence in terms of Jake Neighbors and Pius Suter. I think that's the way to go about this for right now. Like, you're still working on the chemistry. You're still trying to get guys to figure out. But to make life easier on your goaltender and your defenseman, man, you need better offensive zone time. You need better opportunities where you're sustaining that pressure, and I think these line combinations are going to do that. The Joseph Shen Kyrou one is the one that I'm most curious about, but if I go back in my time capsule, Kyrou has been at his best when he has played with Braden Shen. Now, prior to last season, because he and Holloway were awesome, but if you're going off of centers that he's worked well with, I think he's worked the best with Braden Shen throughout his time as a Blue.
I like it. Switch it up. Let's see what this looks like. Now, this doesn't mean they have to stick with this for the next 10 games, but I think they needed to light a fire under their asses. What you saw in that last game was inexcusable. That can't happen. You know, like that was an embarrassing performance by the St. Louis Blues. And if this is the way that you get their attention and you say, hey, what we're doing is not good enough. We've got to be better. And we're going to switch things up until we find something that works, and then we'll stick with it. We've seen this before by Jim Montgomery. He's not afraid to change up the line combinations, but when he sees something that's working, I mean, that second line last year, he would change everything around them. But the one thing that remained steady was Shen with Holloway and Kyrou because there was no reason to change that. Those guys consistently performed at a really high level. So once he gets there with something, he'll stick with it. But in the meantime, yeah, we're willing to switch anything up. And I think this is an interesting way to go about it. I agree with you, Alex. Shen and Kyrou has shown an ability to be a consistent pairing before in the past. I kind of like the Suter-Snuggerud pairing.
I do too.
I think that's going to be an interesting way to go about it. And maybe Thomas and Holloway are the pair.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that is your top line winger, not just for right now. Those guys could be paired together for the next 8 years here in St. Louis. Yeah. And I don't think it should shock anybody. So I like the fact that they're willing to change these things up. I don't care that Jordan Kyrou is on your third line. I don't think that tells you he's having a bad season. I think he's been fine. I know the numbers aren't there, but overall, I think his game has been fine this season, and the numbers will eventually start to follow. I like it. I like the way that they've gone about it.
Kyrou on the third line is no different than Jimmy Snuggerud, who was playing on the third line in Vancouver. And what did he do in that game against Vancouver? Scored 2 goals. Like that's the mismatch you want for a guy like Jordan Kyrou, to where he can go out there against the third or fourth line for Dallas and create offense. The other thing with this, too, because I saw a couple of people on the Graveyard Chat over on our YouTube channel, and they were saying it's like, I don't like this because now you don't have a number one line to shut down the other number one line. I think you've got 2 guys that you can rely on, or 2 lines that you can rely on to shut down Dallas's best lines. Because despite Pavel Buchnevich's lack of offense right now, he's still very good defensively. And you're putting him with Pius Suter, who was signed because he's such a good two-way centerman.
I disagree with the premise. You have a top line. It's Holloway, Thomas, and Neighbors. Neighbors has been your most consistent offensive force this year. Thomas is a very good defensive center. He is your number one dude. And Dylan Holloway, for a year plus now, has been arguably your best player. So I disagree with the premise. I do think you have a top line, and you're playing your best players on it currently.
Yeah, I do too. I think now you can actually mix and match, because the one thing about Dallas is they've got 3 lines that can hurt you offensively. So you need to have depth on defense in terms of your forward groups. We've talked about this. Holloway has the potential to be a star in the National Hockey League. Panger told us this earlier this week. Put him with the guy that is already a star in the National Hockey League. This is nothing against Pavel Buchnevich or Jordan Kyrou, but I like the way Neighbors plays, and I think Dylan Holloway provides the assets that Robert Thomas could utilize. Now, it'll be interesting to see how they generate offense together, because Thomas does like to work below the goal line. Holloway's had success off of the rush, but I think if you're talking about the speed of Dylan Holloway, we've referenced his ability to win board battles no matter what. Put him out there with Robert Thomas. See if you can generate more space with guys like this. Look, it might be broken up by the second period on Saturday, but at least I like that Jim Montgomery is saying 5 games in, hasn't looked like what we need it to look like. Let's make changes.
I don't know the answer to this question, Alex. Have Thomas and Holloway
this gnat's been flying around here
much together?
Say that again. Thomas and Holloway
played much
so
together.
Last year they started the first couple of games with each other, and I think Bannister broke that up pretty quickly, because then they used Holloway as a centerman, and then when Montgomery came in, I think Holloway was always kind of in that second line.
Oh, we used Holloway as a centerman.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. They played together, but it was not for a very long amount of time.
You want to know how much time they've spent on?
I want to say it's less than 10 minutes.
It's more than that.
Oh, is it?
Holloway and Thomas at 5-on-5 have played 92 minutes together. And the numbers are pretty remarkable. About 60% of the shots are in favor of the Blues. They've outscored the opposition 11-1. Wow. Now, I don't know how much of that is situationally. Some of that could be like coming off of a power play situation, or late in a game where you're like down by a goal, and so you're just trying everything that you can to be able to hem the other team in. There's there's situational stuff to this that could lead to some of those numbers maybe getting a little bit out of whack. But you've allowed one high danger chance and you have 6 in your favor. The numbers have been very good when those guys are on the ice, which is not all that surprising. Those guys are both very talented.
Well, and moneypuck.com last year says that Neighbors Thomas and Holloway played together for about 21 and a half, 22 minutes together, 76.9% expected goals for. And defensively, expected goals allowed per 60 was 1.68. So, I mean, it's been a line that now Jim Montgomery, I don't believe, worked with this line a lot. I think this was more Bannister than Montgomery. But, man, I mean, if we're going to talk so highly of Dylan Holloway, then why not put him on the top line? I mean, I've made the comp to Kyle Connor before. You got to give the guy the opportunity to go out there and perform in that route. So now's your chance to go out there and take it. And if you're Pavel Buchnevich, you don't like to say it's a demotion because, you know, you're still going to be eating 21, 22 minutes of ice time. But if I'm Pavel Buchnevich, I wasn't good enough on the top line. Now I got to get better, and now this is my motivation to do it. And you're playing with a different centerman. Sometimes centerman can unlock assets of another player that you just haven't seen before. And maybe Pius Suter can do this with Pavel Buchnevich. So I'm interested.
What do you think about this, T-Bone?
Yeah, I like the top line. Like, I do like the change that they've made up top with Thomas, Neighbors, and Holloway, because I like the idea of trying the Thomas and Holloway pairing. I don't know how I feel about the second line, if I'm just being honest. And I don't know if that is more of like, I am more of someone that is a little bit more critical of Booch and not haven't been a fan of his game over the last 2 years, I would say. But that second line feels very slow. Now, I do think it's going to be better defensively. I will say that. And I think that's the move that they are trying to make. I mean, you mentioned the odd man rushes in their last game where they gave up 12, which is that can't happen. And that third line, like Shannon Kyrou should be able to make up for Joseph. Like, I mean, they're definitely missing a third line winger. We've known that all season long. Yeah. I just don't know how I feel about the second line. That's the one that I'm having a tough time with. But I'm intrigued to see it.
What would you have preferred to see?
That's the thing. I don't know what your answer is on that second line right now.
I think people were saying on the text line that Kyrou should be in spot for Buchnevich, and I actually don't like that because I don't want two wingers playing that style with Pius Suter.
And then I don't know that line's good enough defensively either.
And your third line's slow with Buchnevich and
the reason
Shen.
I'm not surprised they made the moves because they did have to improve it defensively, but they were, and we'll talk about this later in the show, top 5 in expected goals for through their first 4 games of the NHL season. So the lines were generating offense. They just weren't very good defensively. And I don't know if that second line is going to be that great at generating offense. But if they are good defensively, then it's worth that. And I'm willing to see what it looks like. That's the only line combination, though, that I look at that I go, I don't know how I feel about this.
And I think the offense is going to be there no matter what. They've got the talented players for it. I think what Jim Montgomery is focusing on is like, guys, we have to be better defensively. Like 3 of the 5 games you've played thus far have 3 of the 4 games you've played thus far have been not the greatest defensively, allowing teams to just get those odd man rushes. So, I mean, you're going to generate offense. The real question is, can you tighten everything up on the other side of it? And I think this provides the ability to do that.
Blues back in action tomorrow against the Dallas Stars. Alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. We will have coverage of that game right here on 101 ESPN. Stars versus the Blues tomorrow night. Alex has your pregame starting at 5 o'clock. Puck drop for that one at 6 right here on your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into Ask Us Anything. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. If you guys have any questions, sports or otherwise, we'll get to those. It is a Friday, so it's Ask Us Anything on BK and Ferrario. Coming up next, we're going to talk to our guy Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie. He texted us and let us know he's coming in studio today, and he's going to have some samples for us to try on air, including some barrel picks, which I know Alex is very excited about here at 11:30 on a Friday morning. We'll get into that with Mike McKenna when he joins us next here on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Jordan Deacon. This Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues continue their homestand tomorrow as they welcome in the Dallas Stars. Pre-game show right here on 101 ESPN will begin at 5 o'clock, and then puck drop will be at 6. But first, Mike McKenna joins the guys in studio at the Centene Community Ice Center for more Blues talk. I'm Jordan Deacon. This Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Broadcasting live from the EMB Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. We're going between the pipes with former NHL goaltender Mike McKenna.
Between the Pipes is refreshed by Macadoodle Spirits, fine wine, beer, and cigars. Now open in Darden Prairie.
All right, it is time for our weekly discussion, and this week we do it in person with Mike McKenna, the former NHL goalie. He joins us on behalf of Macadoodles. He's got the merch ready to go for
Look
us
at this
today.
guy.
Fully branded.
He's macked out.
He also brought in some bourbon for us to be able to sample while we are live on the air today. Brought in some tequila as well. You love to see that. So you can get yourself some of this stuff by going over to Macadoodles, and I know Mike will tell us a little bit more about that coming up here in just a little bit. But Mike, we've got a lot to get into because the Blues switched up the line combinations today. They have put these things in a blender. You have those right in front of you. I want to immediately start with that. What do you make of the decision to juggle these things up going into the game against the Dallas Stars?
There's a reason why I brought some booze today.
You thought that 8-3 game was rough for us, too.
I thought we might get a little looped up on air here. I think at this point, you're 4 games in, and really how many good games have the Blues played? I mean, honestly, 1.5.
1.5.
Okay. I think
the Calgary.
I like the Vancouver game. I'm glad they got through Calgary. You know, your goalie played really well. First game of the year against, was fine against Minnesota, but they kind of lost their way halfway through. So you're really just looking at, you need to have 3 out of 4 games be really good, and it just hasn't been there. And it's growing pains going into a season where there's been some flux. And we talked about this summer with the centers. Who's going to play center in this team? Now you got Sundqvist out. You know, there's one guy. So you see why you needed that depth. This is a natural progression. I don't think what we're seeing today, though, is necessarily going to be the answer for what these lines are. I don't know if Joseph, Shen, and Kyrou is the answer. Right. But at this point, I think that Monty's just trying to spread this out a little bit and see what he can get going.
It feels like those bottom 6 lines are just, unfortunately, they don't look as good because of the injuries to Sundqvist and Toropchenko, because those 2 are in. A 4th line looks like a little bit more of an identity line, and Bukestad's playing on that 3rd line, which is providing that net front presence.
Yeah, and let's be real about it. I mean, Toropchenko to me is really the biggest missing piece there. And man, I love Oscar Sundqvist, but when you've got Bukestad and shit, like you can kind of backfill that position, but there's a big difference between Toropchenko and Texier on the 4th line, or even Matthew Joseph. Like Toropchenko just brings a range and a skating ability and a size to him that isn't there. He can grind, and I think you really miss that. It shows you how important those bottom 6 can be.
Here's the one, Mike, that I'm curious about on the forward side of things, because I noticed this in Chicago, and Joey talked about it on pregame, that the Blues really want to open up the ice. They want to extend the ice to where they kind of like what the Blackhawks used to do, where good luck beating them in their own end, but they could beat you off the rush. That's not what the Blues' identity was last year. I mean, they were getting in, they were forechecking, they were cycling the puck, they were hard to play against. And now, Chicago game specifically, man, they had guys cherry picking at the red line, waiting for passes so that they could get. There were 12 odd man rushes in favor of Chicago in that game. So what has happened in that sense? Like the forwards just not providing that same identity that was there last year.
Well, at first, Chicago's got a pretty capable coach in Jeff Blashill, and I know his record in Detroit doesn't really show that. But this is a tactical coach. We haven't seen that with the Blackhawks, or the skill to come back at you when it wasn't just Connor Bedard. Now there's more to it. I don't think that the Blues have really changed what they're doing. I think what they've fallen into that's hurt them is that they've taken their fast identity, grinding identity, and they've almost gone over the edge too far with it at times. They're trying to blow the zone, meaning that they have players in the neutral zone for stretch passes, and they're trying to get it in that way. That's fine. When you get into the zone of possession, that's great. But I think they've been so aggressive at the blue line and so aggressive with their movement within the zone that all it takes is one chip play, one quick play to neutral zone, and then you're beat. And that's been the thing that's been hard to combat, and especially with, the lineup being a little bit in flux, even 3 or 4 different players there that haven't been in tune with Monty's up-tempo, in-your-face game, it can look like it's in disarray a little bit. And again, it's fixable stuff, but it is just making sure, man, if you're in position, you got to be in position. If you take off and go somewhere else on the ice, you got to be like 2 Pistons. You got to know where to come back to. Yeah. And that's where there's been some indecision at times.
Is some of that about the lack of chemistry? I mean, all preseason, these guys didn't play together for the most part. It was juggling line combinations. They had a lot of young guys out there with older guys. And even then, it was like 1 or 2 games for most of them that they were on the ice together. Now you see so far this year, they've been juggling up some of the line combinations once again today. Is that the biggest part of it, or is it just execution?
I think it's more execution, really. Okay. Players are... Man, they're really capable at the NHL level. And yes, there are magic combinations. But for the most part, they've just looked like at times, not just out of sync, but a little bit out of sorts. And I can guarantee, I didn't watch practice today. In all honesty, if I wasn't putting a bunch of beer on the shelves, and we got some great winter lagers in today from Weldworks and Hopewell Brewing and the rest, I would have loved to watch today's practice because they had a mandatory day off yesterday. They needed it. It's actually been a grueling schedule to go from St. Louis out west, come here. I guarantee they're doing some tactical work out there today. They have to. And the video room would have been really interesting, man. That's what you never get to see. Even if you're a fan and you walk in to watch practice, you're not in the room for video. And I can guarantee that was a very pointed, very critical look at the last several games. Because like you said, I always gauged the way our team was playing in front of myself as a goalie by how many rushes we gave up. And it's been unacceptable for the Blues.
Give us an insight. What's that video room like? Is it hardcore coaches losing their mind at players, or is it specifically picking out the mistakes and saying this is where it needs to get tightened up? And how much does that benefit the player seeing it that way?
It's direct because these players want it to be direct. Good players want direct, honest feedback. They don't want the coach looking at them and going, "You're an idiot. Why on earth did you ever do that?" They want them to say, "You're way out of position here. This is where we need you. You've gone this direction here. You know that. We've practiced that. You're at your best when you skate and have your skates parallel and you angle. This is how you fix this." So, and especially in today's world, you can't just beat them up. You will lose games if you just beat people up. Yeah. Good coaches teach as they critique, and the players want it to be honest and direct, and they can take it as long as there's a why to everything they do.
I think that's been the biggest thing that's changed. And I've talked about this on the baseball side of things with Ollie a few times, is like, you just have to explain the why to them. And once you get there and you can explain to them, okay, this is what you're doing. Here's what we'd like to see. You change it to, here's why. Once you get to that third layer, that's when you start to get a little bit more of the buy-in. And I do want to take this discussion a little bit to the defensive side of things, where Logan Mailloux finds himself, at least today at skate, out of the lineup. You have pairings that do not include him. He's the extra skater on the defensive side of things. We've talked about this a ton, so we don't have to get into our thoughts on it. But what have you thought of Mailloux's game, and are you surprised at all that he was the extra today?
Not surprised that he's the extra. There are elements to what Mailloux's done that I've really liked. I love that he's got a physicality to him. I love that he shed the mitts faster than, Tony Twist in the middle of a game against Red Wings 20 years ago the other night. Like, he couldn't have gotten those mitts off quicker. I do like the offensive side of the puck when he's got it on his blade in the offensive zone. He's very poised with it. He can make plays. But the reality is that his play has hurt the Blues directly. I mean, he's -7. And again, this is a reality thing. This isn't beating the player up. He's going to have to just watch video and watch from the stands for a little bit here to find out what Montgomery's system looks like, because that's been the biggest thing, is that he hasn't fit within the system yet. That's why he hasn't had success in terms of his play. Not that he's a bad fit for the system. He's just not used to it. Marty St. Louis in Montreal, very freewheeling. They're very loose in Montreal. Like, if Montembeault didn't have a monster year, they would have been in trouble last season, the Canadians.
Yeah.
So, for Mailloux, I think that he's not quite used to it, but I also think he's just trying too hard. Like, he'll take himself out of the play to make a hit. He'll pinch really hard. He's just so exuberant in trying to prove it that he's also kind of in a tough spot like that. Man, we almost ran Chris Pronger out of town here as fans. We almost ran Colton Parayko out of town here. Petrangelo in the first couple of years.
Brewer.
You know, Brewer, Eric Johnson.
Yeah.
Like, it shows you how hard it is to be a defenseman in the NHL. It's not easy.
That's the thing for me, Mike, that I've noticed with Mayu. It's not that he's in bad positions on the defensive side. The part that he's getting hurt on is he's pinching so aggressively on the offensive side. And you know he's got the offensive ability. They've talked about it. We saw it in Montreal. I think he had 5 shot attempts in that Blackhawks game. But 2 of the 3 goals or 4 goals he was on the ice for came from him pushing and then nobody recovering for him on the backside.
Well, and that's – go watch a Kirkwood 12U A1 hockey game here. It just shows that it doesn't matter what your age is. Like you need constant feedback on how you're playing the game.
Yeah.
Like this has been a constant thing that I've been absolutely critical eye to about the youth hockey teams I've coached, that even 10U and 12U is you absolutely cannot go the wrong way. You can't go the wrong way down Manchester Road and think you're going to be able to pull a puck out of there, you know, like and dodge these cars. Like you can't go against traffic. And there's times where you just, that phrase, know when to hold him and fold him, man. Like you got to fold and go the other way.
Yeah.
Because he's so big and rangy, he can angle him wide. And Benner's going to make that save. If it wasn't the second shot of the game on Hofer, he's usually going to make that save. Unfortunately, that second goal was, that's a crusher.
Yeah.
But you trust your goalies to make those. So he's just got to recalibrate a bit. He's been so aggressive.
And it doesn't benefit him too playing with Tyler Tucker, because that's another inexperienced defenseman that's learning the ropes.
Yeah, and inside baseball, off air before we went on here, folks, Alex had a great point, because we were in the locker room this morning at Kirkwood with our men's team, and my dad made a really great point that, you know, last year Tyler Tucker had a safety valve, and his name was Ryan Suter. And the whole team had a safety valve on Ryan Suter when Parayko went down. And frankly, you really don't have that this year. You've got Tucker and Kessel and Mayu, and we saw Broberg and Mayu didn't work. You know, Broberg
was also an inexperienced defenseman.
Broberg and Falk love that, you know. So not saying, hey, we got to go get Ryan off the scrap heap up and win Wisconsin right now, but like there was a safety valve last year that just kind of isn't there. So now it's time for Matt Kessel to take a shift.
Yeah.
Mike McKenna joins us in studio today. He joins us each and every week here on BK and Ferrario. He does so on behalf of Macadoodles. All right, Mike, we've got a pepper barrel pick
Which one are we sipping
that
here?
we're sampling.
This here's a James E. Pepper 110 proof out of Lexington, Kentucky, deep in the heart of Lexington. And give this a little sip here. It tastes like chocolate and hazelnuts and toffee.
Ooh.
So I'll take over as you guys have that. And then I'm going to pour you a little bit of the Four Roses. This is Four Roses single barrel. We just got this in here. And this whole barrel here, it's
I like that one.
OESQ
That one was
variety.
good.
It's a little bit on the floral side.
Yeah, hold on. I haven't finished mine yet.
Here, take a little rip of this. Anyway, at Macadoodles, we just got a couple of barrel picks in. We got a Penelope Project X coming in too. Alex is trying to pour with a cap on right now, which is really funny.
I was really worried that it was going to come out faster than what I wanted. I'm like, oh my God, and I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, so, you know, the barrel picks are great. We did just get a ton of winter bruiser coming in. We got our first Christmas one in. It's like a Christmas sour. It's got like crocodiles like going after Santa Claus. It's really weird and funny. And
what a label.
Yeah, Opus 1 just showed up in the wine room. So all the big dog stuff is coming out for the holidays. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Biggest thing though, hey, cheers everybody.
Cheers.
On the 30th, we got a Halloween bash from
Oh, baby.
Nice.
Adult trick-or-treating. Oh, yeah.
Adult trick-or-treating.
You got
Better
it.
than the kid trick-or-treating.
At a liquor store.
Dangerous.
See, that's my jam.
So
Four
that
Roses,
there's a little bit on the
I like that one better.
It's a little bit on the floral side. You get a little banana out of that, and it's got 20% rye, so a little spice to it.
I love a good rye.
I feel like it just did a bourbon tour.
Basically, yeah, more or less. Go out to Louisville, have yourself a good time. But
I had a former NHL goalie give me that tour,
Yeah, you
which
were
is even
walking through
better.
with him.
That felt better.
Thank you. And now you get to chase it with some Chiquita tequila. Agave.
Some peanut butter.
Peanut butter agave. Sink one of these, Tanner. See how you feel over
Let's
there,
go
bro.
ahead and give this
going
a little,
peanut butter?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we got to
turned into a whole
I've
thing
never
today.
heard of this. The peanut
Now,
butter.
this is dangerous because these are
tequila.
typically what I take when I golf, and these are just shooters where we down the whole thing at once. That's
Yep.
not happening today.
No.
But
That's just going to be a sip.
I'm a tequila guy. I like agave in general, but peanut butter.
Just down that sucker. if you like screwball or anything similar, this stuff's dangerous.
Okay, this is my jam.
A bottle of that's $24.97.
He doesn't like. This is my jam. God, I love
like it. I am in general though not a sweet drink guy. It's got a little bit of the sweetness to it with that peanut butter.
Oh man,
but it's better than I anticipated.
It's sweet.
This one goes down easy because of that peanut butter taste. Oh
it's
God,
also
I like
lower
that.
on the ABV. I think it's like a 64 proof.
Those little airplane bottles are at 99 cents, and a bottle that's $24.97.
Nice.
I think I'm gonna be.
You want to get turned at the golf course? Baby.
I was just gonna say my trips to Macadoodles now are going to be specifically before golf outings because there's gonna be a lot of Chiquita peanut butter tequila shooters.
All right, we just had some wonderful samples. What else can people expect over there with the fine folks at Macadoodles?
October's winding up now, so we still have all our Oktoberfest beers out. Pumpkin beers. We've got a bunch of pumpkin spice things that have hit.
T-bones.
I mean, there you go. Next week we're bringing the pumpkin spice moonshine for you.
Baby.
You all lit up over here, brother. So that's going strong. Like I say, the big stuff's coming in for wine. The Opus ones and all the Camus, all those high-end selections have just shown up. We just continue to do the barrel picks nonstop. And I tell you what, we're running some really good deals this month. And that Halloween event should be a lot of fun on the 30th, doing it on Devil's Night.
Where can people get more information on that?
You just go to our Instagram or our Facebook, best places you can find us, just Macadoodles, Dardine Prairie, or you can just hit me at Mike McKenna 56. There's always links to it from what I've done on my own personal profile. And we're just north of Bryan and just north of the Page Extension, Bryan and Feisey Road up there in Dardine Prairie.
He's Mike McKenna. He's good people over there at Macadoodles. We appreciate him hopping in with us each and every Friday here on BK and Ferrario. Great hockey analysis and sometimes some nice
and gifts.
Samples coming in here on the show as well. Go ahead and check them out. Macadoodles is the place to go. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Ask us anything, sports or otherwise. We've got a little bit of a buzz going here, so we'll have some good answers for you coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the ENB Granite Studios. You're tuned into BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. You've got questions, we may have the answers. Maybe. It's BK and Ferrario's Questions and Answers on 101 ESPN.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything. If you guys have any questions, sports or otherwise, we've got a little buzz going on right now, so we are happy to answer any
Jokes
of those
on you
here
a little.
BK and Ferrario. All right, let's get to this from the 314. Speaking of drinking, what is your drink of choice while watching the games? I'm typically just, classic beer.
Mick Ultra Cactus Lime. I don't know why I have to keep saying this to people. Make fun of me all you want. It's a delicious beer that I love.
I am more in line with, I like a craft beer. I also like Busch Light. I'm more than happy to drink some of those. If I'm drinking throughout the day, like an extended day of drinking, Busch Light would be my drink of choice for that. If I'm just, sitting on the couch watching Mizzou versus Auburn tomorrow, Urban Chestnut, any of their lagers of any kind, I'm happy to have some of those. I brought back a bunch of beer from Vermont / the Northeast, so I've got some of those. I've got some Pilsners in there. I've got some IPAs in there, so I'll drink just about anything. I don't discriminate.
I told you guys last night for Thursday Night Football, I got the girls down, and I had bourbon sitting around, so I made an apple cider bourbon smash. It was delicious, minus the fact that I put too much cayenne pepper in it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
It was supposed to be 1/4 of a teaspoon, and I did a 1/2 teaspoon, so my mouth was burning when I took a sip.
Yeah, my go-to if I'm sitting down watching a game is a Zwickel. But I'm also especially in October, I'm down to have Oktoberfest while watching a game, or especially when you get into Christmas season, more of the Christmas beers, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm open to. If I'm doing a long day of drinking, my go-to is probably Mick Ultra. That'd be my go-to.
From the 314, I can't say much about this, but out of the 3 shows, who has the best ratings? I've got these up.
Boy, you are feeling that buzz if you're pulling this one up.
Oh, they asked the question. In the last quarter, the answer to that question is the morning show. Morning show TMA had the best ratings out of anybody on the station in the past quarter. This fluctuates, though. It's been the morning show at times. It's been the fast lane recently. We have had best ratings on the show at times. So it depends on time of the year and how things are going. But we could have a 3-hour conversation on radio ratings, how they work, what the value is of them. But we will not do that right now. So I will just answer the question directly.
The best rating show is ours.
From the 618... Guys, how much booze and or how many beers would it take before you're starting to feel yourself?
Beers,
Ferrario 2.
No. Beers is.
Well, let's be clear, because every beer has a little bit different in terms of the.
Yeah,
you're talking.
If I'm talking Bud Light,
beer,
at minimum probably 4 or 5 is when I start to feel something.
That's fair.
Beyond 6 is where it starts to get a little crazy. Now, when I golf, it's a lot of these, but the way we golf is we go shooters roulette where we get some nasty ones in there. Probably about.
I'll never understand that.
You got to make golf fun, buddy. You make golf fun.
That's what golfing is supposed to be.
No,
fun.
It's not fun without. It's fun. It's not fun at all when it's sober golfing. I would say probably about 4 of these is where it starts to really hurt a little bit.
Yeah, I would say 4 or 5 Bud Lights, and I'm starting to feel it a little bit. But it takes a couple more, double that, then I'm really under the couch, not sure what's going on. At about 8, I would say.
I'm 4 or 5 beers. I start to feel it a little bit, and then beyond that, feeling pretty good. 314. It also depends on how long you're talking about us drinking over the course of the day. Am I drinking 4 or 5 beers in the first hour? Are we stretching this out over a 6-hour straight? It's a different conversation. From the 636, do you guys think that the Chiefs will win fewer than 10 games this season? I think they'll win 11 games this year. I'll go with that. I'll go over.
Yeah, I would say over. Even with the slow start, I still think they're going to be over 10.
Over 10.
I don't see them losing more than 7 games.
They're at 3 now. Just doing quick math here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they'll do it. Back into their schedule is pretty light.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. If you guys have any questions, sports or otherwise. From Well in Dowd. Guys, are you handing out candy? And did you decorate your house for Halloween?
No, we didn't decorate our house. We never decorate our house for Halloween. I only decorate for Christmas, and really it's just lights that we put up on our roof. I don't think we're handing out candy this year because we're going to do trick-or-treating with the girls, and then I think once the girls go down, we're probably just going to do a fire pit in our backyard, and it's just too hard. It's a longer walk to get to the fire pit to make the kids do it, and then it's just too hard to stay on top of that door.
T-Bone, you're ineligible. You live in an apartment, you don't have kids, so.
And it's creepy.
Well, anyways, it was no and no either way.
You're not trick-or-treating?
We don't decorate for Halloween.
I hate
We also
Halloween.
are like Alex. We just decorate for Christmas. But we will not be handing out candy at our place. We go to Kara's parents' place out in Hazelwood, and we will be handing out candy over there, but just not at our place.
Yeah.
From the 314, guys, I agree with BK on the idea of the Cardinals getting a good starting pitcher this offseason. Would you trade for somebody like Orion, Lopez, Alcantara, or would you rather sign Dylan Cease? All the guys are around 30. The trade guys cost less per year than Cease, but obviously they would cost you prospects. I would probably rather go the trade route if possible because they have a lot to be able to give up. And a team like Minnesota, I actually think maybe makes some sense as a trade option for the Cardinals because they have so much cost-controlled position players. But I'm definitely not out on the idea of signing Dylan Cease.
I actually would rather go the signing route than the trade route because I don't think you're in the business right now of trading your prospects. I think if I'm trading major league talent for a major league pitcher, I would do that. And if you're giving me two options, I would just rather spend the money and utilize the talent to trade for younger pieces elsewhere and just bring in a starting pitcher that I see upside with.
Yeah, I think I would do the signing as well, and it's twofold. One, you don't have to pull from your minor leagues, which I don't think is deep, but you don't have to do that. And two, it's probably longer term, right? Like you sign Cease, you probably get him for 5 or 6 years. So while you're bad in the first 2 years, you have him for the next 4 when you're competitive again. Like I just look, Pablo Lopez contract runs through the 2027 season. So by the time he hits free agency, you probably haven't been able to capitalize on what you acquired him to do.
All right, last thing here from the 636. BK, give me a Survivor picks this week so I can not pick that team. I've been fine on the Survivor front. I had one bad week.
Still alive?
Unfortunately, it was the one that got me booted from the Survivor pool. But me and Alex have been talking about this week by week, and we've generally speaking done pretty well. I agree with Alex's pick this week. I would go with Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
If you're in a Survivor pool, I would go with the Chiefs against the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, we are going to get into our football pick'em. This week is an interesting set of games, so we'll see where everybody's heading on the football pick'em for the third week in October. But next, the Dodgers are inevitable once again. We'll get into that next year on BK and Ferrario.
and Ferrario are broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex from T-Bone, I'm PK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. So we'll get to our football pick'em coming up here in just a little bit. Alex, the Dodgers are inevitable. That's where we're at. They feel the same way that the Kansas City Chiefs do in the NFL, where we can watch all season long, and all year we think to ourselves, that team's not that good. They're just not that good. They're barely winning, or for the Dodgers, like the rotation is in shambles, and it doesn't matter. You get to October, they go up against a team like the Milwaukee Brewers, who are fine. They're a good team. They're talented, whatever, but they're just not on the same level as the LA Dodgers. And I think some of this you can look at, like, they're trying to get cute with this opener stuff. I understand it. I get it to a degree with some of what they're trying to accomplish, but man, it blew up in their face yesterday. Aaron Ashby ended up facing 4 batters over the course of that one, got 1 out, ended up allowing a run because he gave up 2 hits and a walk and had the 1 strikeout. That game was over. Like, that was it. They screwed up the opener, and then the Dodgers pulled away. And that's the end of the game, because the Dodgers are just that good when it comes to their pitching. You can't consistently string together hits against this Dodgers team. I thought, and T-Bone, I know you've talked about this as well, hey, maybe it's going to be the bullpen. That's going to be the thing that gets them. Nope. Bullpen was spotless yesterday. They ended up giving up a total of 1 earned run over the course of the entire game, and that was Tyler Glasnow. Bullpen comes in, shuts things down once again. I am personally in the side of things where, like, I like watching greatness. This Dodgers team feels a little bit different to me because, and somebody on the text line said, is this where you guys complain about it being unfair? Yeah, a little bit. Yes. Well, this feels different than the Chiefs doing it. It feels different than the Warriors doing it. It feels different than what we've seen with the Panthers, because the rules are not on equal footing in Major League Baseball the way that they are in all of these other sports. It almost feels, and I know that this is a loaded word, it almost feels rigged in favor of the Dodgers because they have assets, because they have resources that no other team in Major League Baseball has at their disposal.
Well, to your point of, like, I enjoy watching greatness. I've enjoyed watching greatness in years past. Like when the Penguins went on their run. That was fun for me because it was a team that just went through the rigors of going out there and drafting first overall players and developing them and then bringing in key pieces. The Warriors you mentioned, like, that's fun for me. This isn't enjoyable because nobody can be on the same level as the Dodgers. Nobody can compete with bringing in these international free agents and throwing all of this deferred money to them. Nobody can compete when the free agents are out there and say, no, I want to go play for the Dodgers, and they get the most money possible because nobody can touch that. That's the part that's not fun as a fan. Now, if the Dodgers were doing this with 7 of their 9 guys that are in the starting lineup that were all drafted and developed, and then a few key free agents were given a ton of money to, then we're talking a little differently here. We're talking about what the Warriors did, where they drafted their 3 superstars and continued to win. We're talking differently than what the Penguins and the Blackhawks did and the Kings did when they were on that run. This isn't enjoyable because every single year, you just know that, hey, the Dodgers are going to sign probably the best free agent. 2 of their 3 guys are going to be hurt for most of the year. But when the playoffs roll around, they'll be healthy, and they're just going to go out there and dominate. That's what this has become now with LA.
Yeah, and I agree with what BK said. There is no, like, equal playing field for anybody with the LA Dodgers. Now, some of the teams like the Mets and the Phillies, they can spend that money, but even they can't compete with what the Dodgers are doing. I mean, the Dodgers deferred like $650 million in Ohtani's contract. They're deferring money more than anybody is doing across Major League Baseball, and they get more money brought in terms of ad revenue because of their ability to play in the market of Japan. Nobody else in baseball is able to do that, right? The Cubs might be able to get in there a little bit because they've got a couple of guys that are from Japan, but they don't have the best player in the world in Shohei Ohtani. And credit to the Dodgers, like, we've seen them spend in the past, and they spent on, like, Carl Crawfords and Adrian Gonzalez. They've done the right things and spent on 3 of the best players of this decade.
They're also really good at this. None of this is to take away what the Dodgers have accomplished or what the Dodgers have built. They don't just go into the free agent market. They go into the free agent market and get the best of the best. Shohei Ohtani might be the best baseball player in the world right now. Mookie Betts, like, when he becomes available, he's the exact kind of superstar that you should go out and acquire. He's the most unselfish star maybe of this generation. Like he's willing to play anywhere. He does everything well. That guy is awesome. And he's apparently a great clubhouse player. Freddie Freeman is exactly the kind of guy that I would want to be in the middle of my order. And then they're also really good at getting Max Muncy, who they develop into the player that he has become for them. Or they acquire supplemental pieces like Tommy Edman or Teoscar Hernandez. They do a really good job of trading from their surplus to go acquire players. Like, they're really good at this, of acquiring the correct players. And also, the rules are in favor of them being able to go out and flex that financial might to get these players. So it can be a combination of all of these things. It's not a like this or that. The Dodgers are amazing at this, and Andrew Friedman might be the best general manager in all of Major League Baseball. And I hate the way that baseball is constructed right now because it leads to this. It leads to the Dodgers doing this every year.
And maybe I'm the only one who's thinking this. Like, when I think of like all the other sports, right? Like, you can see where an NHL team can dominate across the league, right? And go on runs for a couple of years. Like, look at what the Florida Panthers have done. Like, they dominated through the Eastern Conference over the last couple of years. But I've never felt baseball as one of those sports. And the Dodgers just feel like the Warriors or the Cavs.
I would disagree with that. I would say it's before you were born, T-Bone, but baseball has been dominated by individual teams. Like, Alex, when we were growing up, the Yankees had
the Yankees were just always that team.
Stranglehold on Major League Baseball, very similar to what we're witnessing right now.
And they did it to the sorry to cut you off. They did it to the Dodgers extent where they were just signing every single free agent that would hit the market. There was no chance for anybody else to compete.
Well, and much like the Dodgers, part of it is because they also kept their homegrown stars.
Yes.
And like we think about them going out and signing A-Rod and all of these different superstars. They also had a stretch there, and part of it was because George Steinbrenner wasn't around the team at the time. But like they kept Derek Jeter, right? They kept they kept these guys internally, and then they flexed their financial might, and that is the Dodgers' similarity.
I guess the better way for me to probably say it then, because I guess you are right. The Yankees were that even when I was little, not born yet. Like that's true. In these other sports, like think of some of the teams that have been able to run through this pure dominance, like the Chiefs, for example, over the last 7+ years. It's Kansas City. Kansas City's not a huge market, yet the Chiefs have been the team that has been the powerhouse of the National Football League. The Cleveland Cavaliers, when they had LeBron James and had their run, Cleveland's not a big market. When you think about baseball, who are the teams that have
and basketball as well?
Exactly. When you think about these teams that have had these dominant runs in Major League Baseball, what's the caveat in it? Well, they're all these big markets, right? Well, of course, New York has more financial might than about 20 teams across the sport. Of course, the Dodgers have more financial might across the sport. There hasn't been a small market team outside probably the Cardinals who had their run, and they only won 2 World Series in that run, that has been able to put together a run like we've seen from what the Dodgers are doing, where they look like they're going to capture back-to-back World Series, and this is probably just one of another. I'd say they probably should be a team that could win 3 or 4 in this time frame.
We'll see. This could get interesting here pretty soon because of the age cliff that's coming for them. When you look at a guy like Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, now they may then just be able to go
get Tyler Tucker.
I think paper mache over
they
there.
They should be in on the Tucker sweepstakes this offseason.
Sure, that's possible. But Kyle Tucker is not Freddie Freeman. He's not Mookie Betts. I think Kyle Tucker's a really good baseball player. He's not in the same level as these guys that we've been talking about previously. I mean, that would be them going out and getting like a Fernando Tatis Jr. this offseason or somebody like that, going and getting Tarek Skubal. Maybe some of these things are possible because it is such an uncertain offseason. I don't know if you guys saw the report yesterday. Apparently, the Tigers are $250 million apart on any kind of an extension with Tarek Skubal.
That's hard to do.
Do you just run it back with him next year? Or if you're the Tigers, do you consider cashing in that chip right now and saying, we're never going to be able to get a deal done with him. Let's go ahead and get an absolute haul in return for what is probably the best pitcher in Major League Baseball right now. I don't know. That's a tough decision one way or the other, and I'm fascinated to see which direction they go. There was a report today over on The Athletic, speaking of Fernando Tatis Jr., that it's no guarantee that A.J. Preller is back with the Padres next year. they were making it seem as though, hey, maybe he interviews for the Rockies job.
Ooh,
like, what?
Don't do that.
So
It'd be fun.
We'll see
For
what happens
who?
in Major League Baseball. It could be a fascinating offseason, not just for the Cardinals, but in the entire landscape. Coming up in about 15 minutes, the Blues' underlying numbers offensively are shockingly good. So why did they switch up all of the lines today? We'll get into that in 15 minutes, but next it's time for our football pick'em here on BK and Ferrario.
Broadcasting live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the ENB Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
T-Bone on BK. It is time for our football pick'em here on BK and Ferrario. For those that are new to the segment, we do this each and every Friday. We pick 3 games against the spread, no props, no over-unders, just against the spread picks. The game has to be concluded prior to the start of the show on Monday. It could be college, it could be NFL, it could be Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, anything in between. It just has to be concluded by the start of the show on Monday. So far, Alex has the same number of points on the season as myself and Tanner Hendrickson combined. Has not been a great start to the year for the two of us. Alex has 7 points in the second month. T-Bone has 3. I have 2. Again, less than stellar start for the two of us.
No, you guys are doing great. You're trying hard.
We picked 3 games. It is on a scale of 1 to 3. Alex, your 1-point play for this week is what?
Why do I always have to go first, guys?
Oh,
okay. Sorry, I forget. This one's a bigger line for me. No surprise, in the NFL. But it's one I feel comfortable in. I'm taking the Patriots -7. Now, they're on the road. They're in Tennessee. And, the whole Titans maybe get this coaching bump now that they fired the guy and they bring a new one in. I don't know if they can have a bump because their offense has just been bad, and good luck finding a way to stop Drake May. 7's a bigger spread, but I think it's going to be an easy one for me. So 7 is my 1-point play.
I like that one. Not getting a hook there scares me.
I was hoping it was 6.5, but when I looked at it this morning, I was like, I still like it.
Because that's what pushed me away from some. So my 1-point play, I'm going to start in college football. And I would love to be wrong on this because it would be for some sweet content on Monday morning. But I am going with the Missouri Tigers. -1.5 on the road at Auburn. Look, if Auburn, there wasn't noise surrounding their quarterback, or surrounding their head coach, and their quarterback, honestly, I think there'd be a chance they would win this football game. This team's going to give up on Hugh Freeze. He kicked a captain off the team so he could redshirt somewhere else, was blaming him rather than taking the responsibility himself. I think the Auburn Tigers give up on their coach this week, and Hugh Freeze is fired by Sunday. Give me the Missouri Tigers -1.5.
I will go ahead and follow that up with my 3-point play this week,
God,
which is
Auburn
the
wins.
Missouri Tigers -1.5 on the road against Auburn. I do have a little bit of anxiety. It is the first time that Missouri has gone on the road this season. And, they did a preseason thing against Lindenwood, so Drinkwitz would get mad at me. It's the first time that they've gone
Fear the roar,
on
baby.
the road during the regular season in 2025. And that has at times not gone particularly well for Mizzou in the past. That being said, I think Auburn's ready to lay down. I agree with T-Bone. I think that their coach very well may be fired after this weekend. And even if it's not as official, I think you will start to see more and more reporting that after the season, Hugh Freeze will be gone because they lost to the Missouri Tigers on Saturday. 1.5 points, not enough to push me away from this one. I think Missouri wins by about a touchdown on the road at Auburn, and that is more than enough to cover the 1.5-point spread. Alex, your 2-point play.
All right, boys, my 2-point play. Saw this morning, and I'm not going to say what BK always says because I don't want it to hurt me, but I thought this one was going to be one that I put into my list. I'm taking the Cowboys +2.5. At home against the Commanders. Just found out that McLaren's not playing. Also, Travion Diggs is not playing, but CeeDee Lamb's coming back. And as much as I think the Commanders are a good team, this is division rivalry. This is one team trying to get their ish together on the defensive side. I think the Cowboys win this one straight up, a +2.5. I love it.
There's also some uncertainty right now about Deebo Samuel. He might not be playing in this game either. He said his heel is re-aggravated, so it's possible that the Commanders will be out without McLaurin or Deebo Samuel. That's a lot to overcome against the Cowboys, who can put up a lot of points even though their defense is dog water.
Yeah, I couldn't get a good read on that one, but I will be moving to the NFL as well for my 2-point play. And I'm loving it. It's Jordan Love and the Packers -6.5 at the Arizona Cardinals. I'm able to get that hook there, right? At -7, I'm getting it. I'm avoiding getting the 7, which is what I want, right? I want it to be 6.5 or less, so they win by a touchdown. I love the Packers on this play. Arizona's just not a good football team. It seems Kyler might be back this week. Doesn't matter. Arizona's not good. I think the Packers win that by a touchdown or more. Give me Green Bay on the road -6.5.
You know how I feel about the Packers. It was one that I considered this week. It's just a big line on the road. 6.5 points is a lot. The Packers offense has been up and down recently.
That's what worries me a little bit.
That was my one concern. It's what pushed me away. All right, I gave my 3-point play out in front because T-Bone mentioned the Mizzou game. I will give my 1-point play now. I am also going to the NFL side of things. Now, I understand things have been a little topsy-turvy for the Philadelphia Eagles so far this season. It's been a mess, honestly, in a lot of different ways. I'm not worried about that. They're on the road, taking on the Minnesota Vikings this week. I just think they're flat out the better team. And if Minnesota's potentially going to be starting Carson Wentz, how's Carson Wentz going to play against that Philadelphia Eagles defense? I would say not particularly well. So might be a low-scoring affair. Not all that excited about it. I certainly don't have a whole lot of excitement about watching this game. I've got the Eagles minus the 1.5 points taking on the Minnesota Vikings.
I liked Minnesota in that game. So
I didn't, but I also didn't want to bet that one because it felt like I was just an unknown for me because both teams have just really struggled. My 3-point play, and guys, I hate the fact that I am picking this team as the one that's going to win. But I see the opponent, and I say I don't see how they lose. It's the Chicago Bears minus 4.5.
I considered this one.
I just look. I'm not going to act cocky with this. The Saints can put up points. The Saints do have a okay defense. I just think the Bears have figured something out on the offensive side, and this is another one of those division rival games that I think it's very important for the Bears not to lose. Not a division rival, a conference rival. Sorry, I should have said that. So 4.5. I was hoping this one was like 2.5. But I still think a 4.5. I think the Bears win by a touchdown.
Oof, man, that one makes me really nervous. It's the way that you feel about the Eagles. I like the Bears. I think they've been a really fun story. 4.5 points is just a lot of points for Chicago. It opened at 7.5, so this has been bet down significantly from earlier in the week. So I certainly like it better at this number than at 7.5, which is crazy. I think the Saints have been more frisky than we're giving them credit for so far this season. So, Alex, I will defer to you. You've been a hell of a lot better at picking these games than I have so far this
these
year.
make me nervous.
That one makes me pretty nervous, though.
Yeah, that was like my 4-point play, or my
Your 4-point play.
That I have. Fourth play, I should have said. Yeah, because I kind of agree with BK. I just don't trust the Bears enough. But for my 3-point play, guys, it's the theme of my picks this week, and it probably would have been all 3 of my picks this week had I not trusted the Packers enough to go minus 6.5 for my 2-point play. My 3-point play, Wisconsin is giving up on Fickle. I saw our friend Bill Connolly right today. I feel bad that Wisconsin's making him coach this game before they fire him. It is a huge spread. Ohio State minus 25.5 on the road. Wisconsin's going to roll over and die this weekend. That Badger's dead. Fickle's going to be fired at the end of it. Ohio State's going to win this by 4 scores, so give me the Buckeyes minus 25.5.
All right, I'm going to do one in the college football side of things that is sure to come back to haunt me. However, I think USC's pretty good this year. I think that offense is really good this year. And I think there's a chance that they win outright on the road on Saturday night against Notre Dame in South Bend. So plus 9.5, man, that's just a lot of points for an offense as good as USC has been so far this season. T-Bone, I think, should be rooting for USC because if USC wins this one, it makes the win against USC for Illinois that much better. I've got USC plus 9.5. I wouldn't be totally opposed to taking them on the money line, but for this, it is against the spread. I like the Trojans against Notre Dame.
I just don't have a good read on how USC's defense stops Notre Dame, and that's what scared me away
Not
from
much. I like the over of 60.5 points in that game.
I agree with you on the over in that game, but yeah, that's the only reason I avoided this one because I just couldn't get a sense of, okay, I could see where they covered what you're saying. I could also see where their defense is so bad that they just can't keep up in a track meet with Notre Dame.
All right, those are our picks for this week. If you want to fade or follow, you can do exactly that. Alex says the Patriots -7 at the Titans. I think that's a good pick, man. The Patriots.
I wanted to move it up, but
I think Vrabel is more than happy to lay it on the Tennessee Titans this weekend.
Probably should have made that my 3-point play.
Cowboys plus 2.5 against the Commanders. Bears minus 4.5 against the Saints. T-Bone has Mizzou minus 1.5 against the Auburn Tigers on the road this weekend. I'm following that one. I've got them as my 3-point play. T-Bone also has the Packers minus 6.5 against the Cardinals and Ohio State going on the road and whooping up on Wisconsin minus 25.5. I've got the Eagles minus 1.5 at the Vikings. I've got USC plus 9.5 at Notre Dame. I just realized I've got all 3 road teams this weekend. So does T-Bone.
Oh, yikes.
I wonder why things are going poorly for us in the Pick'em Challenge here on BK and Ferrario. We will give you our reveal on Monday. It is week 3 of the second month. We've got another week left in this month's Pick'em
Hopefully I can distance
Challenge.
myself so I can enjoy my last week.
In 15 minutes, we'll dive into the junk drawer. But next, The Blues' underlying offensive numbers are shockingly good so far this year, and now they're switching up the line combinations. Why? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Jordan Deacon. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. We've got a variety of play-by-play action for you happening this weekend on 101 ESPN. Beginning tonight, Dodgers versus Brewers Game 4. Pregame starts at 7. Then first pitch will be at 7:38. Then tomorrow, Oklahoma versus South Carolina. College football begins at 11 o'clock. Then Blues versus Stars on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN. Pregame will begin at 5. Then puck drop is at 6. Finishing off on Sunday, we've got an NFL triple header for you. Chiefs versus Raiders pregame starts at 11. Chargers versus Colts follows, and then 49ers versus Falcons kickoff at 7:20 will round us out. I'm Jordan Deacon. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Broadcasting live from the ENB Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Alex, I know how much our audience loves expected goals, so let's go ahead and cite it as a statistic that's actually been good for the Blues.
Do you like
so
people
far
hating
this
you?
season? It's kind of my thing. So this year, here is the entire list of teams that, according to Natural Stat Trick, which is a super nerdy website, they have more expected goals on the season than your St. Louis Blues. Pittsburgh, the Rangers, the Panthers, the Carolina Hurricanes, Colorado, and yes, Anaheim, shockingly enough. You're seventh in the NHL in expected goals for on the 2025 NHL season. And yet today, Alex, the Blues put the lines through a blender and said, not good enough. What do you attribute that to? How do you explain that?
I attribute it to your defense has not played well. And when I say defense, I'm not talking about the defensemen. I'm talking about the forwards as well as the defensemen. I'm scrolling back through these from every game because I want to be correct on the number here. They have given up more odd man rushes to every team this season except the Calgary Flames. Calgary Flames, it was 1-0. The other side, I've mentioned the 12 that they gave up to the Blackhawks. They gave up 4 to Vancouver, and they gave up 2 to the Minnesota Wild. So they've given up more odd man rushes to the opposition than they've had in 3 of their 4 games so far. So why are they juggling up these lines with their offense being so good? Because the offense is there. It's not going to matter if you put them with other guys. All of these guys, with the exception of Pius Suter and Nick Bukestad, have played with each other for now a couple of years, maybe more. Holloway's going to provide the offense no matter if he's playing with Schenn or Suter or Thomas. Snuggerud's going to get offense no matter if he's with Thomas or Suter. Really what you're trying to do is you're trying to get better on the other side of the ice. Greg Wyshynski told us why he was down on the Blues. It's because Jim Montgomery is more concerned with the defensive side of the game than the offensive side of the game. Maybe that's a bad thing in terms of your overall numbers, but it's a good thing in terms of winning hockey games. So you put these into a blender because they're not following through with the game plan that they're supposed to be playing with great in your own end and even better in the offensive side.
So Logan Mailloux has been a huge storyline so far this season for some of those same reasons. The defense hasn't been good enough. Montgomery was asked after practice today, hey, why is Logan Mailloux going to be the healthy scratch in tomorrow's game? He said the following, quote, we're thinking long game with Logan Mailloux. Sometimes you need a reset. You go up in the press box, watch a game, you see how much time you have, you see how to take away time from the opposition, and we're going to work with him. We have a plan, and when he gets back into the lineup, I don't ever expect him to come back out.
This is him saying we have a plan, and when he comes back into the lineup tells me it might be a few games. They want him to watch. They want him to realize you don't have to rush the play when the puck is on your stick. Because right now, and I truly believe this, I think it's more Mailloux than anything. I think he's in his own head trying to force plays to happen, trying to be great because you're traded to the Blues. You know what went the other way, and you want to live up to expectations. Pronger said it yesterday on the Fast Lane. He's like that dirty P word in terms of potential because everybody's talking about his potential. Did you get a little nervous there for a minute?
I didn't know what you're
Well, I mean, the whiskey was flowing, I guess, earlier today.
Like, what?
So I told Jordan to be ready on the dump button just in case. So that tells me that this is going to be a little bit of a work in progress. He's going to sit up there with David Alexander, with Claude Julien, with Al McKenna, who I'd say is a pretty good person to sit next to, by Robert Bortuzzo, Doug Armstrong. He's going to watch the game with them.
Sit his ass next to Robert Bortuzzo and say,
I'd sit his ass next to Al McKenna.
Sure, between the two.
Yeah, but he's going to be next to them that entire game. And guys, this is what Robert Thomas did in 2018. This is what Zach Bolduc did 2 years ago. We're acting as if Bolduc is like the next Brett Hull.
He might be.
2 years ago, people were done with Bolduc because he didn't play defense. He sat up in the press box. He watched the game. And when he went back in, it was the aha moment where it was like, oh, yeah, I don't have to rush this play. I don't need a pinch here. I'm going to get my chances. I need to be better on this end of it. So I agree with what he said. I think this is going to probably be 2 or 3 games where he's up there, he's going to watch, and then it's going to be cool. Back in, and you're never going to come out because the confidence will grow from there.
I think Pronger might be on the broadcast tomorrow, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he can't sit next to Pronger because Pronger's doing his job.
No, I understand, but maybe the two bump into one another. I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world.
It's hard to miss Pronger.
Having a conversation either pre or post or during the game with Logan Mailloux. I mean, he's going to have all of the help that you could possibly ask for. The Blues have a really good, for lack of a better term, incubator when it comes to what they have to help develop these young defensemen inside of the organization. So I think he's in a good spot as long as it's there. And I don't know how long this is going to take. It might be, Alex, he's not ready this season to contribute towards a winning team. It's possible. I'm not saying that's likely, but it's possible that ends up being the case. And if so, well, they'll have to make other decisions here, and they'll have to figure that out as we go along. But the first step toward getting him back on track is this. It's why I was a little surprised by how many people had told us he'll be right back in the game on Saturday. He'll be right back in there on Saturday. I don't know. I never... We on this show all said, like, I think he probably needs to watch for a little bit. He needs to go up into the press box. So I think they're making the right call here. I think it was time for him to take a step back, take a breather, just relax. And if that means for the next week, don't play. 3 games off. Hey, Kessel, go get your opportunity here. Let's see what you look like in the lineup. Mailloux, you're going to take 3 games off, get you back in there here pretty soon. I think that is totally fine. I just trust this team, this organization, to have the right plan in place to get the best out of these guys. And I trust what they're going to do with Logan Mailloux.
I think he's going to have a very similar season as to Tyler Tucker last year. To where now it's going to be different because Tucker was in the American Hockey League last year and didn't get called up until December. This is going to be more of Logan Mailloux. I don't know if I want to say in and out of the lineup because of what Jim Montgomery said, but it's going to be in and out of consistent high numbers when you're on the ice. But by December, January, remember what Tyler Tucker looked like at that point. It was like, oh, okay, he's figuring it out. And then he just slowly continued to build, and by the end of the season, he was playing 18 minutes a night. That's what I expect with Logan Mailloux. By the end of the season, he is going to be a contributor to a team that can hopefully be in the playoffs this year. But for now, it's we need you to get to that point, and that point only comes with you being confident in yourself. And the way you get to that, practices, staying after. I know he was the last one on the ice today, skating with a couple of the coaches, and then watching the game from up top and seeing that there is a lot more time and space of what you're doing out there.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, we're going to dive into the junk drawer here on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK for my friends over at Victory Men's Health. It is time to unlock your inner champion, and the place to do so is with Victory Men's Health. Check out all that they have to offer at victorymenshealth.com, whether it's weight loss goals that you're trying to meet, low testosterone symptoms that you've been dealing with, or erectile dysfunction. They can help you out with it over at Victory Men's Health. On their website today, go to victorymenshealth.com, and that is where you can book that first appointment. It's a super easy process to get that first consultation. Go over there, click on the Book Now tab, then put in your name, email, phone number, tell them BK with the 101 ESPN sent you, and tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion. Whether it's the erectile dysfunction issues, weight loss goals, low testosterone, or you want to learn about their vitamin infusions, their supplement shop, red light therapy, cardiovascular testing. It's all available today at victorymenshealth.com. You can read all about it over on their website. I've been using them. They've been helping me out. They've unlocked my inner champion, and they can do the exact same thing for you. So check them out today. It's Victory Men's Health and online at victorymenshealth.com.
Live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the ENB Granite Studios, you're tuned into BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. Let's open it up. The Junk Drawer with BK and Ferrario.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, and it's time to dive into the junk drawer. T-Bone, what do you have for us today?
You guys like going to coffee shops, right? You big pumpkin.
I was at a coffee shop this morning.
There you go.
I don't like
Went out
coffee
to
shops.
Course Coffee in St. Charles, for those of you that are out in that neck of the woods, over by Main Street. It's on 2nd Street in Frenchtown. Not a free plug, but, here we are. They do fantastic coffee out there. I had a couple of good pour-overs this morning.
I don't have time for coffee shops. My coffee shop's in my house.
I drop off Luca on Fridays, and me and my wife go out to a coffee shop
You
most
lucky
Friday
son
mornings.
of a gun. Good for you,
You
man.
guys big on the pumpkin spice drinks?
I am not. My wife very much is.
My wife
Right?
puts a little pumpkin spice in my coffee when she makes it in the morning, so
That's
it
good.
makes me really happy.
That's cute, man.
It makes me really
So,
happy.
The reason
Love you, baby.
The reason I asked that question about coffee shops and then if you like pumpkin spice drinks is because there is a new trend that is going on TikTok right now of people walking into their favorite coffee shop. They love the pumpkin spice drink, and they show up. And you know how restaurants will have like the bread bowls where you can get your soup in a bread bowl? Yeah, you can get your pumpkin spice drink inside of a pumpkin. You walk in with your own pumpkin, you've carved it out, and you want your pumpkin spice latte
I'm good.
poured into an actual pumpkin.
Why?
Where's this at?
This is across the country. It is a TikTok trend that people are doing
Does
this.
anybody Have they looked inside a pumpkin before?
This is just purely for Instagram. And listen, this is going to be me doing the old man yells at clouds
here
thing.
we go again.
Stop getting stuff exclusively for Instagram. Be practical,
This is
people.
TikTok, you old guy.
I hope whoever's doing this gets a sunflower or a pumpkin seed stuck in their mouth when they drink this.
Like you're out on
Go
that?
get a coffee
That's
in a coffee
disgusting.
cup, man. Like, why
That's
does this have to be so hard? I'm not opposed to companies going out there and like doing stuff, like getting a what's it called? Why am I blanking on?
I don't even know what you're going for.
A foo-foo drink and like a coconut, right?
Like the pineapple drinks, like we get the liquor stuff?
Absolutely.
Those are fun, though.
I think that's cool. It's fun. It's interesting. This is not.
You know why those are fun, though?
unnecessary.
Because it's the same reason why you do soups and bread bowls. Because you eat the bread once the soup is done. Are these people eating the pumpkin when their drink's done?
Pina colada. Like, you go
But they
down.
might make it their pumpkin on their front porch.
What? Ew.
You go down and you're on a vacation. They've put your pina colada inside of a coconut. All right, fine. It adds nothing to the drink. It takes away nothing from the drink. Yeah, you don't need.
Yeah, but you have the pieces of the coconut flavor it.
Well, this pumpkin is
You don't
flavoring
want
the
that.
drink.
It's purely just a aesthetic thing. Like you
taste the coconut in your drink. It's like putting coconut in there. I don't need pumpkin remnants in my coffee while I'm drinking it.
Because pumpkin's disgusting. People aren't doing this to drink it. They're not drinking.
You remember when I yelled at you and I told you to grow up? These people need to grow up.
T-Bone, would you do this?
Don't. I'll tell you to grow up, T-Bone.
I might try
Grow
it.
up.
I don't think it'd be good, but I might try it if someone said, hey, here's a pumpkin with pumpkin spice latte in it. I might try it.
Grow up.
If you had like a plastic
It's the
cup
same thing as
that
coconut.
was no, it's not.
It is. It's the same idea.
It's very much not, because pumpkin is disgusting. The flavor
Some people
that you're
eat
gonna get
pumpkin.
off of it. Nobody
eats
prior
that
to
pumpkin.
cooking it.
Yeah.
You're
you eat
cooking-
pumpkin seeds, but you clean all of the pieces of the pumpkin off.
Correct.
People don't put actual pumpkin in their pumpkin pie.
Correct.
It's pumpkin in a can.
Correct.
Name one person that eats pumpkin.
Oh, I don't know.
You have never once gone up to
They
a
eat
pumpkin and
squash.
eaten it like an apple, or you're like,
I can't say I've done that about a coconut either.
okay, but you've
You
had
crack it open and you drink it.
the coconut milk.
Yeah.
This is
Got milk?
I'm sorry, young people, you're wonderful.
Grow up.
I love you. You've got to stop with this
Man, this is
nonsense.
Such an
Go
old
to
guy take from the
Starbucks,
two
go
of
to your
you.
local coffee shop, preferably, and get yourself a whatever pumpkin spiced anything. I don't care. I'm not going to hate on whatever it is that you like.
Pumpkin
Whatever
spice
you
is
want to
great.
drink, that's great. But stop it with
Yeah.
these pumpkin things.
Otherwise,
It's
you're going
nonsense.
to choke on a pumpkin seed or pumpkin gut while you're drinking it.
This is pumpkin soup. That's what that is, and that's disgusting. Coming up in about
Ugh.
15 minutes, we'll
Grow
get
up.
into our NFL weekend look ahead. But next, it's a new era in college football, and yesterday was the latest example of that. We'll talk about it here on BK and Ferrario.
and Ferrario are broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center, presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, we've got Jordan Deacon back in the studio for us today, helping us out. We are broadcasting live at the E&B Granite Studios out at the Centene Community Ice Center. Alex, yesterday was a big day in college football, and it was the latest reminder of just how much college football's landscape has changed, really in the last 5 years. I would say post-COVID, we have seen these massive changes to what we know as this sport. Because of the transfer portal, because of NIL, and soon because of revenue sharing, a place like Indiana can now dole out about $12 million roughly per year to a college football coach. Never in my life did I think we would see the day where Indiana is able to keep a coach from being poached by Auburn, Florida, or Penn State. And that's what just happened. Curt Cignetti decided to re-sign because he said, I can build a national championship contender right here. And Indiana said, in order to keep you here to do so, we will give you a fully guaranteed $90+ million contract, where if we fire you at any point in time over the next 8 seasons, your entire salary is guaranteed. We will have to buy out every penny that you are owed. That is a huge sign of faith on the part of Indiana University. It is also quite a commitment from Curt Cignetti to what has traditionally not been a college football power in the Big Ten. So, Alex, I think this is a big sign of what this offseason could look like. There was also a report earlier today by Gabe DeArmond. Report is putting it maybe a little too strong. There was a suggestion by Gabe DeArmond that he believes Eli Drinkwitz will stay at the University of Missouri this offseason. This stuff can change, so I don't want to hold him to it. I don't want to put words on his mouth. But that's what he suggested earlier today with TMA. Also said the same thing on his website at Power Mizzou. I think this is a reminder. You don't have to go to Penn State. You don't have to go to Auburn. You don't have to go to Florida. You can build a contender at smaller schools now, and it's why Lane Kiffin might be sticking with Ole Miss as well.
Yeah, and it's stay where you're loved. I mean, if you're Curt Cignetti, why did this make sense? Well, because I basically just outlived James Franklin at Penn State with a team that I built. So why would I go there where I've already got a program in the same conference that is successful and is more successful than where Penn State is at right now? So I mean, this is just where it's at, to where you stay where you're loved for a lot of these guys. And I think it makes most sense in SEC and Big Ten, because when you get into that program where you're established, and take Drinkwitz, for example, man, the state of Missouri loves you. Like, you have just basically taken this program into a different realm than they have been since Gary Pinkel, and you're loved. So, yeah, you can probably get more money where you go. You could write your own ticket. But not only are you getting money, you could, as Curt Cignetti just showcased you could still get more money where you're at by just being tied to another team, but you stay where you're already loved, to where one underwhelming season isn't the end of the world. Whereas if I'm Curt Cignetti and go to Penn State and don't live up to the expectations that I had at Indiana or what they have for me here, man, they're going to kick me out the door faster than anything else. Indiana, you have a rough year next year, you just turn it around the next season, because that's the portal.
Yeah, no pressure. Like 8-win season at Penn State could get you fired. I mean, that's possibly what they end up being this year.
9 win in Indiana next year is, well, just try again next year.
Still a hero, because you got the school to the college football playoff. I think this is going to become the norm for these Big Ten and SEC coaches that have this success. Like Curt Cignetti, rather than leaving, because you can actually play at a level playing field now, because you can pick off the 5 stars from rosters that enter the transfer portal. In the past, you couldn't do that, right? You weren't going to recruit the 5-star. The transfer portal, if you did get one, you had to wait a year because they had to sit out. You don't have that any longer. So you can build a roster that can compete with these teams. Now, will you ever be able to get to a national championship level? Maybe not. I mean, we'll see. I mean, he's got a roster that I think can get them to the college football playoff championship this year.
I think they're a top 2 team in the country right now.
I
agree.
You're better than all the other teams other than Ohio State.
We'll see if you can
10.
sustain that, let alone if you can get to that level at Indiana. Sure. You might be able to always be that team that gets into like that 8 through 12 range in the college football playoff. But if you're getting into the playoff, you at least give yourself a chance, right? I think the conferences that we're going to really find out about this year is how people look at this Penn State job is the ACC and Big 12 coaches, because it's harder to continually build a program in those conferences because all the top talent wants to remain in the Big Ten and in the SEC. As you're seeing now, the Big 12 and ACC over the first 2 years of this college football playoff expansion, they don't really have a lot of elite teams that are being built up in that conference.
Well, because they're not power teams. Like I always say the Power 5. It's a Power 2. It's the Big 10 and the SEC and then everybody else. Like the Big 12, yes, they've got some quality programs, don't get me wrong, but it's not at the same level as the Big 10 or the SEC. ACC, same thing. We've got a few good teams like Miami, top 3 team in the country this year. I'm pretty confident in that based upon what we have seen to this point in the season as we're now halfway through. That's about it. It's Miami and then kind of everybody else in that conference right now. So I agree with you, T-Bone. If you're the Virginia coach, for example, and Penn State comes calling, I don't feel the same amount of loyalty as I would at a program like Indiana or Missouri or Ole Miss, for example. It's different in those two conferences. But if you're in the Big Ten or the SEC, even if you're not a traditional power, if you're able to build it up there and your administration has shown the backing and the support financially to allow you that opportunity to continue to have the success as Indiana has, as the University of Missouri has, as Ole Miss has, why would I leave? I don't know what it's going to be like at Penn State. I have no idea. I don't know what the good or the bad is there. I know what both the good and the bad is at my university right now. I know where the skeletons are hidden here. I know how to play the game with my state legislature, which strangely is a thing that you need to know about nowadays in college football. I know who the board of curators are that I can say, hey, I need an extra couple $1,000,000 for my coaching staff to be able to make this work. Can you guys make that happen? I know who the financial donors are that I need to be able to be in good graces with to get that money to support my organization. Like, all of this stuff is really important, and it's different at every university across the country. So if you're comfortable doing that where you're at, just stay.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have already seen with the news yesterday that Kurt Cignetti is sticking at Indiana. And I think it will ultimately be what keeps Eli Drinkwitz at the University of Missouri. That being said, I will give Indiana full kudos. I think this was the right move by them. I think it was the only move by them. T-Bone, you had a different take, though, when you saw the contract yesterday. What was your reaction to the contract that Cignetti ultimately signed?
Yeah, I think it was smart to sign him to a contract extension. I don't know that I would have made him the third highest paid coach in college football.
Then you're losing.
No, you're not getting him then.
I just don't know that he's going to be able to continue this for the longest time. Like, I think odds are you're going to end up regretting this contract if you're Indiana. At the time now, it makes sense.
Let me ask you the follow-up then. He says, we sign this or I go to Penn State. Your response as the Indiana administration is what?
I think
I'm going to lose you for $1 million?
Oh, it'd be more than $1 million that you're probably losing them for. But
I'm saying, like, if he said I'm making what is he at, $11.5 million a year?
I think that's
and
right.
you're willing to, what are you willing to offer?
I would have probably put him at like 8 or 9, probably.
So let's say you're saying
year.
9 per year. So over $2 million, we're going to let this coach walk out the door?
Yeah, probably.
Really?
Yeah, because I think you're going to get hamstrung by. I think he's having success.
The rosters are costing $20+ million a year, and I'm going to let a top 5 coach in college football walk out the door over a $2 million per year negotiation.
Now. Like I think like in 3 years, there's a chance they look back on this and go, "Man, we made."
Who are the guys in front of them?
Like right now, now I think
it's Day and
Kirby Smart. I think Day maybe. It is the best coaches in college football.
I mean, I would say he's worth that, though,
even if he's top
for what he's
10
done.
Or top 15 or top 20. To get that guy to stay at Indiana, if I'm paying an extra $2 million a year for the right to have that guy as my coach,
and also
the value that brings not only to our football program, but our university, where this is the doorstep of any university. This is the biggest advertising arm of any university. The reason that Missouri had its highest enrollment in the history of the university in 2008 is because of the 2007 football team. That's what put them on the doorstep for so many different people that never otherwise would have even thought about going to Mizzou. Indiana's having that same opportunity right now.
Well, and also,
so I'm just going to willingly walk away from that if I'm their administration over a couple $1 million. Nah, man.
Well, and also,
that's crazy.
I mean, by the end of this, and you might be right, like at the end of this, they might be like, oh, man, like this sucks. If we have to move on, it drops off in 5 years from now, and it's like, that's way too much money. Now we got to pay him all this. What if he wins a championship and gets to the college football championship 2 other times?
then it'd be
As a
worth
program,
But,
it's like this is worth it.
This is where it's tough. Is like I
What's
just
the
don't know how
downside
sustainable.
is what I don't understand.
But do you not
paying him a massive buyout if this thing goes south quickly?
do you not think that they could be at the college football championship level within the next couple of years?
I don't know. Like that's the tough. I don't know how sustainable this really is from Indiana.
Can I be honest? It doesn't matter. It's Indiana football, man. Can we talk about how often they're ranked in the top 25 at the end of the season?
They've not been very good forever.
Since 1988, how many times do you think they have been ranked in the AP top 25 at the end of the season?
Since
Prior
what
to
year?
Kurt Signetti's arrival, since 1988. So we're talking about 36 seasons.
Fewer than 10.
I think it's like once or twice.
One.
Yeah, I knew it
One
was low.
time in the last 35 years, let's call it, they have been ranked in the AP top 25 at the end of the season prior to Kurt Signetti's arrival. Do you know how many times prior to Kurt Signetti's arrival they had been ranked in the top 10 at the end of the season? Let's go back to, 1946. How many times were they ranked in the AP top 10 poll prior to Kurt Signetti's arrival?
Count. So I'll go 5 times. Oh, sorry, he's still counting.
1.
Mm.
Since 1946. So 80 years prior to his arrival, they had been ranked in the top 10 once at the end of the season. They did that last year. So yeah, okay, maybe it doesn't go well. So you're winning 5 games a year as you did basically every season from 1995 up until 2018. Cool. Cool. I will pay for the right to be wrong on this in the event that things go south at the University of Indiana for the college football program that has been completely irrelevant since the day that Alex and I were born. That's what they're paying for right now, is the possibility of being something more. If you want that, this is the cost of doing business. And they're finally doing that business. So, T-Bone, listen, 5 years from now, maybe you end up being proven correct. I respect the fact that you're one of the very few people that's willing to go out on this limb today, because it's not a popular opinion to say a guy that's got a top 5 program in the country, this could be viewed as a mistake. And sometimes this stuff goes wrong. Jimbo Fisher was a superstar coach, and then suddenly it was over.
Mistake.
Right? It was a massive mistake at Texas A&M. I just think at a program like Indiana, it's worth every penny. And I would make the same case for Eli Drinkwitz. If they give a similar contract to Eli Drinkwitz at Mizzou at the end of this season, it's the right call. You got to do it. That's the cost of doing business in today's day and age in college football if you want to keep your coach where he's at.
I will also go out on a limb and say it will be a mistake from the Missouri Tigers as well.
But I don't know about that.
The alternative is you go back into the wilderness and you become Florida. You become
find your next
Auburn.
Barry Odom.
Yeah, you become the program that for the next decade is trying to get back to where you are today. And you're trying to do what you did from 2016 to 2022 where you don't know.
And in this world, it's not even about being a great X's and O's coach. It's being a better recruiter to get guys off the transfer portal.
X's and O's still matter.
Oh, it does.
That was a big critique I had to drink early on.
It
and he's
does.
gotten that figured out.
But your team doesn't matter if you can't have success in terms of recruiting and bringing in talent that are on the transfer portal.
It's this is what it takes. This is the investment that is required now if you want to play with the big boys in college football. I respect the hell out of Indiana for doing so. Mizzou, I think, will step up and do the same thing. I would bet Ole Miss will do the exact same thing at the end of the year as well. And Texas Tech has these programs that are having success right now. They're stepping up in a big way financially, and that's what's required. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, we'll play a game of One's Got to Go. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's got to go. Our NFL weekend look ahead is next here on BK and Ferrario.
Broadcasting live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the ENB Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
All right, let's dive into our NFL weekend look ahead, where we look at the Sunday slate in the NFL and we tell you what the game of the week is, our upset special of the week, and one of the games that we're having the most difficulty in deciding which side that we think is going to win. So let's start out with the game of the week. Alex, you, is there an obvious one?
There is, but we can't pick Monday, so I have to go to the
correct.
Sunday slate because that Bucks Lions is going to be so much fun. I think
I'm looking forward to breaking that thing down on Monday.
It's going to be
a really fun game.
Especially for one team coming pissed off of how they performed, another one that's getting healthy guys back. That's going to be fun. The game for me of the week is Cowboys and Commanders. And I think it's just because of the questions that I have surrounding the Cowboys, if they can be a playoff team, because with Lamb back, man, that offense is going to be fun. Defense is terrible, but you're also taking on a Commanders team that you're fighting with for one of those playoff spots. It's in Dallas. I think you're going to see a lot of points scored in this one. And coming out of this one, I believe we might be talking more Dallas as a playoff team than the Commanders. So that's my game of the week.
I like that one. The one for me, and we'll see if I'm even up for it, but it will be the game in London between the Rams and the Jaguars.
That's what I had.
You're up for it, baby.
I don't know, it's a weekend where I don't have anything. This feels like a T-Bone getting up at noon kind of day. But if I do get up and have my coffee and eggs, this is the game of the week for me because it's a bad weekend slate. But the Rams offense, even without Puka, should be able to still put up some points. The defense for the Rams should get in the face of Trevor Lawrence. This feels like a back and forth. Whoever wins this one, it's going to be like 24-17, and I'm a little excited to see what the Jags do. Their coach came out and said, hey, look, we're kind of making more plans for Travis Hunter to get more involved in the offense, and if they can get the ball into his hands, they've got a chance to win this game because when he's got the ball in his hands, he is electric with it.
I love that game. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. The Sunday morning slate is typically terrible. That's a good one. A genuinely good game that we're sending over to London. We don't do that very often.
Because people are not.
I don't think the NFL expected the Jags to be good.
I do really like this Colts versus Chargers game. Chargers are expected to get back their right tackle Joe Alt this week. Sounds like Khalil Mack might be able to play this week as well. The Colts are going to be without their slot receiver, Josh Downs. That's really the only significant injury for them. They also have Charvarius Ward, who had the pregame incident last week. Sounds like he's probably going to miss as well. Colts are 5-1. They're taking on the Chargers. They're an underdog in this game. Chargers are actually a slight favorite at home. I don't know who's going to win this game. I would pick the Colts personally, but it's one that I'm struggling with in the Fast Lane to Pick'em challenge. This one I'm really interested in watching at 3 o'clock. So I would go with the Rams-Jags as the number one game for me. This would be right there, though, for the 3 o'clock slate. Your upset special this weekend, Alex. Who you got?
I'm taking the Giants over the Broncos.
I like that one.
Both picks, ladies and gentlemen. I don't trust them. Now, the Broncos defense is good. I'll be curious to see how Jackson Dart does against that defense. But I also think the Giants have a really good rush, and it's going to make Bo Picks' life miserable. So I think Giants, it's +7. I think the Giants win straight up.
Yeah, that was the one that I had as well because I think their pass rush is going to make it uncomfortable for Bo Nix. And, a lot of people will look at that game where they struggled against the Jets and go, oh, it's weird. It was in London. Yeah, but the offense hasn't done a lot all year long. So I can see where the Giants with Jackson Dart, Scadaboo, the offense does enough. They find a way to score just enough points against that great defense, and they pull off the upset.
I know Alex is not going to like this game. I kind of like the Saints this weekend. I know they're on the road, but, man, I think they've been better than people are giving them credit for so far this year. We've been thrown off the scent a bit because they played against Seattle, Buffalo, both on the road. Those are good teams. And then last week they went against the Patriots, who I think we can just call a pretty good team at this point. That game was close, though. And Spencer Rattler is playing like a top, 15 quarterback in the league right now. That's not saying a lot. That's not to suggest that he's this franchise quarterback or anything like that, but he's been a heck of a lot better than I think most expected him to be. The Saints aren't a pushover the way that you would expect for a 1-5 team. I think they could go on the road this week against the Bears on a short week for the Bears and give them some trouble. So I'll go with the Saints as my upset special this week.
I don't mind it because my whole gut tells me that should have been my 1-point play, and my 1 and 2 point play should have been my 3 point. Yeah, that's my 3 point. I should have flipped. That should be my 1, and then I moved everything else up 1.
All right. The most difficult pick, the game that you're looking at, and you're like, I have no clue who's going to win this game. For you, what would fit into that criteria, Alex?
I mean, in that one, it's the Eagles and Vikings.
Interesting.
I mean, as much as I believe the Eagles are the better team and Carson Wentz is starting for the Vikings, guys, the Eagles defense is not good. And I'm not acting as if Carson Wentz is the next coming of Tom Brady, but he's got Justin Jefferson. He's got a couple of other really elite playmakers, and you've got Flores on one side to make life a little hell for the Eagles. So I feel like everybody is saying the Eagles are going to win that one. I hate to break it to you, buddy, but I could see the Vikings win that one too.
Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings in that one. I think I said that when BK made the pick during the Pick'em challenge. I just don't trust that Eagles offense. But the game for me that I'm struggling with most, and I think you've got this game if I remember correctly, Alex.
Good. Come on.
Commanders Cowboys.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that, and it's mostly just based around the Cowboys on top of the injuries that are plaguing the offense for the Commanders. You mentioned McLaurin's out. Debo's got the heel issue that's been re-aggravated for him. That's been a bit of a problem. Even with all that, I could still see where they put up points against this Cowboys defense, which is atrocious. And then on top of that, I know, well, the Cowboys offense is going to put up points. So I don't know. It feels like a game, and it shouldn't feel this way, but it feels like a game that's going to go, hey, who has the ball last? They will win the football game. And if I have to go for that for a game that I have to pick, yeah, good luck.
I think this is a tough week to pick in general, which is just becoming a theme in the NFL. Who do you guys like in the we can go through this real quick. Who do you guys like in the Rams-Jags game?
I like the Rams.
I do too. I just don't trust.
No Puka.
I don't trust Lawrence to do enough, and I think their front line is going to get in his face.
I think Lawrence will struggle with Rams's front line.
I agree. I think it'll be close. I wasn't willing to touch that line. If it was 2.5, maybe I would have gone with the Rams, but at 3.5,
I just won't touch a game in London.
No, I'm good. The Dolphins on the road at the Cleveland Browns. Do you guys have a side that you like in that game?
I'm taking the Browns. Dolphins are just a broken mess right now with the Tua stuff, Mike McDaniels.
I agree, but don't feel good about it.
No, it's the Browns. Do I ever feel good about it?
I would lean Browns as well, but I
took the Browns last week and they came through for
Panthers at the Jets. There's no Garrett Wilson in this one. When Garrett Wilson, I didn't know if he was going to play or not. I actually really liked the Jets plus the 1.5 points. I thought about potentially making that one of my picks. Now that there's no Garrett Wilson, I'm backing away from that a lot.
Yeah.
But do you guys have a side
I think
that you
I would
like?
go Panthers.
I like Panthers as well. I liked it without, but even before I knew the news of Wilson. The Jets feel like a team that's going to go like 2-15.
Yeah. Hubbard coming back with that and what's his face that went off last week, Tim Whittle. Yeah, I would say the Panthers probably get this one.
Probably flip. I'll go with the Panthers in this one, but I really wanted to pick
you on that. Stick with your gut, man.
No, the Garrett Wilson thing is what pushed me away. Colts at the Chargers. I mentioned this earlier as one of the best games of the slate. I like the Colts. The fact that the Chargers are getting a couple of guys back kind of sways me a little bit, but I think I'll be taking the Colts straight up.
Colts are without Josh Downs, but I don't think that matters when you've got Taylor, when you've got Warren, and you've got Pittman, who's playing well. So, yeah, I think the Colts win this one.
Yeah, I lean Colts as well. The fact that the Chargers do get people back makes it a little more intriguing, but I'm with you. I lean Indianapolis.
And then the last game, this is a Sunday night game. It's a fun one. Falcons on the road at the 49ers. 49ers are a 2.5-point home favorite. I think I lean 49ers here. They're going to get George Kittle back, it sounds like, for Sunday Night Football this week. The Falcons are coming off of a pretty emotional high for them. I like the 49ers in this spot. Do you guys have a different lean?
I like the 49ers. I don't like saying it because now we're without Fred Warner, and like that's a significant,
huge loss.
Like you could talk Bosa all you want. This one's bigger than that, but I can't.
Especially in this game going up against Bijan.
Yeah, well, and Penix who can run. Like I can't keep doubting what Kyle Shanahan is doing, and I think Mac Jones has actually looked pretty decent, so I'll say the Niners.
I actually like Atlanta in this one.
Oh.
I don't know that the defense is going to stop Robinson, and then you're going to see Penix make a couple of big throws, and yeah, Kittle comes back, but I just don't know how much that changes it for me. I actually like Atlanta.
That's a tough one. That's one of those that I'm struggling with. So I just mentioned all of the games that I'm not super high on either side. I think it could go either way. All of these games are 3 points.
You could have just ran through the whole Sunday slate.
How about this one? The 0-6 Jets host the Panthers. It's the first time in franchise history that the Jets would start 0-7.
And it's very possible.
I don't like that, though. It always makes me like, oh, God, now I should have went there. Jets. Yeah, the do factor always seems to help.
And then the Monday night slate's actually great.
I can't wait for Monday night.
We'll talk about these when we get to it on Monday morning to start previewing what we're going to see. But Bucks versus Lions is an awesome game. And I think that spread is way too high, by the way. 5.5 points in favor of Detroit. I like Detroit a lot. That's crazy. And then the Texans on the road at Seattle. Seattle, a 3.5-point home favorite. I think those teams are kind of mirror images of one another. Neither team can run the football very well. Both teams have a great defense and a quarterback that, when playing well, can look like one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league.
I think that's why I think Monday's slate's going to be the best this weekend, because both games have teams that are eerily similar. Like the Buccaneers and Lions defense can't get stops, but their offense just keeps putting up points.
That Sunday afternoon slate, find something to do.
Well, so the games are going to be close, which will make it entertaining, even though right now you look at it and it's not a whole lot of intrigue in terms of what's potentially on the line stakes-wise. But I think what the NFL has done this year is they have put a huge emphasis on these primetime matchups. And they've put good games in primetime. So how am I going to be upset about that when it's the standalone games? A few years ago, you guys remember, every week it felt as though it was the Jaguars versus the Titans.
Yeah.
Like Thursday Night Football was just those two teams every week. I don't know how that was possible. They only play each other twice, but every week I kept seeing the matchup. And now you've got really good games in prime time for the most part.
In 2 weeks, we get Ravens at Dolphins for a Thursday night game. So
poor Al Michaels.
We'll get back.
That was supposed to be good.
That's fair.
Grandpa Al's going to be asleep before halftime.
Yeah.
Next week, Packers Steelers on Sunday night, Commanders versus Chiefs on Monday Night Football. I mean, it's just haymaker after haymaker. They've done a really good job with putting together these standalone games. All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's got to go next year on BK and Ferrario.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Jordan Deacon. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues are back in action tomorrow, continuing the homestand as they welcome in the Dallas Stars. Pre-game show right here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN, will begin at 5 o'clock, and then Puck Drop will be at 6. The guys had Mike McKenna on earlier today to discuss some Blues hockey, so if you missed that interview or anything else from our show today, be sure to check out the podcast page at 101ESPN.com or from your free 101 mobile app. That podcast is brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. I'm Jordan Deacon. The Sports Center update was brought to you by, the Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Broadcasting live from the EMB Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. This is BK and Ferrario. Time now for One's Gotta Go. We offer up the talking points, and you get to pick which one's gotta go on 101 ESPN.
Count that big pen.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for One's Gotta Go. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's gotta go here on BK and Ferrario.
Come on, man. I've been doing this long enough now. Red light on, red light off.
That's how you turn on your microphone for any of those of you that are not watching
you were waiting
YouTube stream.
You were waiting for me to talk, and I was doing a little sniffle over here.
All right. Well, let's get to this one from the 618. One's got to go. Newt, Donovan, Contreras, or Gorman. An easy one here for you to get things started today,
is
Alex.
it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Newt Bar.
Yeah, I think Newt Bar. It would be Newt Bar, Gorman would be the two that I'd say, but either one.
Yeah, Newt Bar's the easy one. He's the one that's got to go. I actually would go Donnie 2 and then Gorman 3, just because that, as we talked about yesterday on the new episode of the Redbird Report, you need power in October, and Gorman has the most power on that list.
Nice tie in there.
By the way, you can check that out. YouTube.com/101ESPN STL is the place where you go for the latest edition of the Redbird Report. You can always check that out on the podcast page as well. 101ESPN.com or the free 101 ESPN app or wherever it is that you get your podcast feed. From the 314, One's Gotta Go shows most common phrases: tinfoil theory, muddy middle, rebuild, or tone.
Oh, tone.
I'd say muddy middle, because I feel like we've said that a lot over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
3 years, really.
They've been stuck.
Yeah.
And there's no real other word to use for muddy middle. You're just stuck in the middle, and that's what the team has been.
I'd say tone, because that means BK's fixed his issue. And
Yeah, well,
I don't feel like we've
I
had a
thought
lot
we
of
got
tone.
better when we had the squirt bottle, and then he's reverted right back to being a tone problem.
I think it's been just
I
fine.
think it's been fine. Sometimes you might be too sensitive.
Yeah, I think there may be some truth.
Yeah, I
to
haven't
that.
gotten sensitive lately, okay? I've been fine.
I think there's been some reasons for that.
Yeah,
that we
there's
don't have to get
behind
into
the
on
scenes
air.
stuff that works well for me.
And for BK. All right.
Yeah.
One's got to go Cardinals edition. The DeWitts, Bloom, or Ollie?
DeWitts.
I always think you get into dangerous territory when you say the ownership that has been mostly good, is the thing that's got to go, because, man, I promise you it can get worse. It makes me very anxious when people suggest, like, hey, DeWitt's got to go.
Could get worse, like Kroenke and the Rams.
Yeah, yes. And like, look at half of Major League
Check-its
Baseball
and the
right
Blues.
now, man. Look at what's going on in Minnesota, or what has been the case in Pittsburgh. And I'm not telling you that you've got to be like all in on the DeWitts and everything they do is correct. I don't feel that way. You guys know we've had a track record on the show of criticizing when it's necessary, but by and large, they're not anywhere close to the worst owners in Major League Baseball. You know, I would say at a minimum, they're top half of the league relative to their market size. So if I've got to get rid of one of these, I would say Heim, just because the track record is the shortest of the three.
Right. Now he's never going to join the show again.
No, I
was
going to
say
a really good job. But the track record is the smallest of those three.
Everything you said was cute there with the DeWitts, and that was good. Maybe they'll give you your paycheck when you ask for it, but it still is the DeWitts, because why are you in this spot? Because of the DeWitts.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And they're still in this denial of like, well, we're going to get back to what we did great, and that's just rebuild through the draft.
Yeah.
It was never what you did.
I would keep Ollie because I think Ollie's a good manager. Well, I've got some skepticism of Heim because I think when you hear people talk about the moves he did in Boston, he sounds just like Mo, but I haven't seen it, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So by default, I get to the DeWitts, and they were also the ones that, it's kind of like Alex laid out, they're the ones that were part of the driving force is how you got here. Sure, we can blame Mo, all fans want. DeWitts are the ones that tell Mo what his budget is, and were the ones that helped lead to the minor leagues falling in such a disarray.
That's fair. It's fair. And they cut back on the spending in the minor leagues. That all happened under their watch. It's totally fair critiques. All right. One's got to go Big Ten's likeliest fourth playoff team edition. USC, Illinois, Washington, or Nebraska. Which of those four is, let's go about it this way, the least likely to be the fourth playoff team from the Big Ten?
Nebraska. Because I think I can make a case for Illinois and USC, unless things implode down the stretch for one of those teams.
Yeah, boy, that's tough. The sad answer might be Illinois because, like, Washington's got an explosive offense. I really like their team. I'm excited to see them. Illinois goes out there next week after their bye this week. USC, like, they've got a good offense. They might be able to outscore their defensive issues. Nebraska's got a decent quarterback in Riola. Illinois, as we've seen, gets killed in the games when they play somebody big. So I think the answer, and I hate saying it, is probably Illinois.
Man, this is interesting because the schedules are going to determine so much about this. It's the thing that probably doesn't get talked about enough of how much your schedule influences whether or not you can be a college football playoff team. And so for that reason, like Washington, the rest of the way, they've got a game this weekend against Michigan, which is really interesting. Saturday, tomorrow morning, Washington versus Michigan, one of the more compelling games of the schedule for this. And then next week, they've got Illinois. So those two games are potential swing games for their schedule. And then they've got to finish out the year against Oregon. That's tough, man. That's a really tough schedule for Washington. Same thing is true for USC. They've got Notre Dame on the road this week, at Nebraska next week, and then they still have Oregon on their schedule as well. Nebraska's the one that has the easiest schedule the rest of the way, man. Mm-hmm. So they've got the worst, quote-unquote, loss on their resume thus far. I'll go with the one that's got to go is Illinois because they already have those two losses on their resume. They could lose at Washington as well. I'll say they're the one that's got to go for this one. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for One's Got to Go. One's Got to Go Girlfriend Quality Edition.
I won't answer this.
Smart, funny, beautiful, or rich?
Tanner?
Smart, funny, beautiful, rich. I guess
if you're looking for a girlfriend, rich is the answer.
I know. I guess funny. I don't need someone that's funny.
Oh man, I think that's one of the most important qualities.
Funny, beautiful, rich. What was the other one?
Smart.
Oh, now I'll change my answer. I'll go smart. Yeah, smart.
You don't want a smart girlfriend?
Nah, I could be the brain of the relationship. Whoa, what was that one?
That's a terrible decision.
There. 222. I think we've got
God, those text messages are going to be awful.
I didn't say it was going to be a big brain of the relationship.
Alex, I don't know where you would land on this, but like
rich.
Looking back, if I was 10 years ago, the rich is the one because that can change at a moment's notice in either direction. It could be added to the picture. It could be subtracted from the picture at any given time. The other qualities, smart, funny, beautiful, those are going to make your life that much more interesting, that much more rewarding.
Here's your
it would definitely be rich.
Here's your plate that you put in your kitchen. Life isn't fun without the smart, beautiful, and the funny. It's not.
Did you just make that up on the fly, or do you actually have a plate?
No, that's a lame thing, but that's true. I can get by without having money. I don't have money right now, and we're fine.
I don't have money now, and I really like money now. So
it helps. Don't get me wrong. Like money
doesn't buy happiness
a lot, but these other qualities are what lead to fulfillment. At least for me in my life. And so I would look at the other things. And listen, like we watch Love Is Blind. That's a show that we're into at home. The truth of the matter is, like, in my opinion, love is not blind. And I do think that a physical attraction is important in a relationship.
We're getting a little deep on One's Got to Go now.
No, but like, I think that it's really important to have a physical attraction between yourself and your significant other. So I'm going to keep beautiful in there because to me, that's an important factor.
I also think
that kind of a long-lasting relationship.
I also think I just said money doesn't buy happiness. That's also a lie because have you ever seen somebody like unhappy on a yacht?
No.
Or a jet ski.
Or anything.
No.
Yeah. Private jet.
But it with money also there are it's the old saying.
You could hate somebody
as well.
You could hate somebody that you married just because of money.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm BK.
Take
We've
that
got
as a
Jordan
life lesson,
Deacon back
T-Bone.
in the studio for us today. We are broadcasting live out of the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Coming up next, we'll get into the BK and Ferrario Rewind. Put a show on this week and today's show next year on 101 ESPN.
the Centene Community Ice Center inside the ENB Granite Studios. You're tuned into BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. Let's run it back with the Daily Rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Loom, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you can go to find it. That is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
101 ESPN app, free to use and easy to download. It is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. If you want to check it out over there, you can see the latest edition of the Redbird Report. We had a long conversation yesterday about our discussion with Chaim Bloom. We also talked a little bit more about Mike Schilt and where things stand with him. Put a bow on that conversation. Don't think we have to talk about that anymore. You're moving forward. And finally, T-Bone brought up some baby slug numbers on how power has influenced the winners in the postseason this year. So all of that over on YouTube and on the podcast feed. You can also listen to the Last Minute Blues podcast on YouTube and the podcast feed as well. All right, to finish out today's show, we will hit the BK and Ferrario Rewind by looking forward to this weekend. T-Bone, tonight we've got 2 games in the baseball postseason. The Blue Jays have tied this thing up. It is now 2-2 in the ALCS. That's a 5 o'clock first pitch for that one in the ALCS. And then at 7:30, a potential game or series deciding meeting between the Brewers and the Dodgers with Shohei Ohtani on the mound for the Doyers. T-Bone, who do you like tonight?
I think that we will see the Dodgers sweep the Brewers out of this series. I thought last night was the game where they could get it because they got to the bullpen early. And by early, I mean the 6th.
It's early for them.
And they still couldn't get it done. So I think you're going to see Ohtani pitch well. Bullpen might come in, lock it down. When teams are down 3-0, I mean, there's no coming back for that. We've only seen one team ever do it. So it's hard to stay motivated. So I say Dodgers sweep them. I think the Mariners will get this one at home tonight. Now, I've been saying that about the first 2. But I think Bryce Miller, I think he'll lock things down for the Mariners. The offense will get back on track. I think they will return to Toronto with the 3-2 series lead.
I think the Brewers win this one, and I think the Blue Jays win this one.
I have got the Dodgers, and I also have the Mariners. So I'm going with the same side as T-Bone in tonight's games. The Blues back in action tomorrow against the Dallas Stars. Huge changes to the lineup for tonight. If you want our full thoughts on those, you can check it out on the podcast page. You can also hear what the Fastlane has to say about that coming up today at 2 o'clock. Alex, Blues versus Stars pregame coverage tomorrow starting at 5 o'clock. What's the thing that you're most interested in seeing, especially with these changes to the lineup? No Logan Mailloux expected in the lineup either.
I'm going to be watching how they do the two-way style of hockey. I think the one thing that has been very prevalent over these last few games has been the Blues giving up odd man rushes, and Dallas is a team that will cream you on that front. So how do the Blues look in terms of the two-way style? Are they going into more of that forechecking style of hockey, and frankly just seeing what the offense can generate, and keep a keen eye on Jordan Binnington, because with the exception of Vancouver, where I thought he performed well, the 2 other times we've seen a 1 in relief, 1 in the start hasn't been the greatest.
Illinois off tomorrow, but Mizzou back in action. 6:45. Man, this is a late kickoff against Auburn on the road. It's a tough place to play, man. Winning at Auburn is not an easy thing to do. Winning on the road in the SEC is not an easy thing to do. Road teams in SEC games this year, 7-14 overall, with only 2 of those wins coming by more than a touchdown. I believe that Missouri will win this game on the road tomorrow night. I also think this is a spot where Auburn is more than happy to lie down if you're able to go up by like 10 points early in this one. So I will be backing my Tigers, not the Auburn Tigers, to go on the road and get a much-needed victory. Elsewhere in college football, some really good games overall. Ole Miss versus Georgia. Georgia, 7.5-point home favorite against Ole Miss. Who do you guys like?
I'll take Ole Miss. I think Georgia wins, but Ole Miss covers.
I think Georgia wins this one. I think I saw somewhere they haven't beaten Georgia in like a decade or something like that in Georgia.
Do factor.
Oh, yeah. I'm going with the Bulldogs.
I think this is a game that Ole Miss is going to be up for. I think last week was a product of them overlooking Washington State and looking toward this game against Georgia. I agree with Alex. I think that Georgia wins. I do think that Ole Miss will find a way to cover in this game, though. Elsewhere, 6:30 kickoff on ABC. Tennessee versus Alabama. Bama's 7.5-point home favorite against Tennessee in this one. I think Bama wins and covers in this game.
I agree. I think Alabama's starting to come into their own in terms of a well-oiled machine.
I like Bama. I don't think they cover, though. I think Tennessee's offense will keep this close, but I do like Alabama to win.
Do you guys think Vandy gets the win against LSU?
Yes.
I don't. It's still Vandy.
That's fine, but it's LSU.
I think they're going to find a way to win this one. They've had a week off. I think they find a way to win this one at home against LSU. That is maybe the game that I'm most intrigued by, though, because I have no idea. That's the game if we did this in college football where we do the I don't know, like which side are you most uncertain about, this would probably be the game in that
If
area.
you're Mizzou, you want Vandy to win, right? Because then it's going to make it look even better if Mizzou can beat Vandy when they play against them.
Adds another potential quality win onto their resume.
You guys got an upset pick in the college slate this week?
Oh, I'd have to go back to it. Tonight is an interesting one with Louisville.
That's my upset pick. I think Louisville will take down Miami tonight. I think it will throw a wrench into everything in the ACC and how Miami we view as a top 3 team. I don't know about them.
One that I think a lot of people are overlooking in the ACC. Duke is a favorite tomorrow against Georgia Tech. That one surprised me when I saw the line. A lot of the advanced numbers like that side of things, so that would be another one. It's not technically a favorite going down in Vegas, but it is the very underrated team or the lower ranked team. Georgia's top 15 in the country, right? Georgia Tech is top 15 in the country. One game to watch, to monitor. Arkansas against Texas A&M is very interesting. Texas A&M's defense is amazing, and so maybe they're able to just shut down Arkansas. Arkansas's offense has been scoring against everybody so far this year, though. So
I like Washington over Michigan. 4.5 point. I like that one. We talked about that being an intriguing one. I think Washington might be better.
By the way, keep an eye on Kentucky at home against Texas. I think there's a chance.
You just picking Kentucky now because you bet against them so much?
Dude, Arch Manning's terrible, and Kentucky can get pressure on the quarterback. So
that'd be a big upset.
Odds are Texas. I think Texas wins. I don't think they cover 13.5.
Those two teams that just ruined your pick'ems this year so far. You banked on Kentucky stinking and they won. You banked on Texas stinking and they won.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm BK. Huge shout out to Jordan Deacon for doing a fantastic job for us back in the studio for us today. Enjoy all of the sports this weekend. Blues back in action tomorrow night. Alex will have your coverage right here on 101 ESPN. Have a great weekend. Fast Lane's coming up next year on 101 ESPN.